As we noted, there was a little bit of a layoff for Sentinels, having only played this map once in the last few months. And we've seen what we wanted to see out of Rise, right? We've seen their craftiness, their ability to play as a team, something that we did not get to see at all on Breeze.
And beyond that, I was just about to say, we have not really been able to talk much about Sick on this KO. It really feels like his impact has been marginalized, but the same wave, he comes through, finds first blood to make me look absolutely ridiculous. Still Neptune, maybe thinking about trying to poke through this Nebula. Dapper is holding this position and actually does catch poise. So the elimination comes through. Sentinels looking prime for an offensive round, even TENZ finding Neptune just before the door shuts on the play. So Shanks maybe, hopefully, for one, but that will be all he will commit to. TENZ wants to take the double updraft peak, but not able to find the kill. So it's just up to Derek to see maybe if he can find an exit. I guess largely feel like he's probably just going to spam and then very likely to back away.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're very quickly seeing that playing this KO on 6 still allows Sentinels to play at the same pace you'd expect from a double duelist composition, where you're still able to be very fast, very explosive, very decisive. Using those stealth hot flashes, getting that extra bit of intel with the dagger, and then using that to just kind of push it together with TENZ and look to take fights and just win them with, that high-class aim we're used to seeing out of them. They're a team that, they talked about in that video, like, people just think that we hold W. It is one of those things where, well, they do. They are a very explosive team, as you see there, but they do it with good utility layering. Like, there's a support system behind those fast-paced attacks, and that's what you're seeing there. And I think the big difference maker here was we've seen them often get this tree position. It's that they haven't been able to penetrate deeper than that. They've been caught up by some of the setups on the site defensively, and they can never really get full control. This round they are able to. They're able to break through the door. They're able to get in there, get picks, and finally lock in a round.
It's actually pretty massive as well for TENZ to just get value out of taking away the Operator and the Odin. Sure, it's going to be repurchased, but that is not a light buy by any stretch of the imagination. So cleaning up those last two will actually put a little bit of a hamper on how steep the economy advantage is for Rise here defensively. Derek very early going into the Hunter's Fury, able to convert onto Shazam. Beautifully found. And even beyond that, you did have Shanks kind of try to make a play through mid-map, but not going to be required to find anything as the first blood's already confirmed.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Aldrin's going to come out middle as well now defensively, and might even be able to figure out Zom's position. Attacking lockdown comes into play. Neptune, though, just trying to play through it. Turret, though, will probably give his position away. Has to kind of divert back over to Stream Room, but able to get there safely. Man gets flushed out, but he's able to kind of play in the middle of all this utility and still stand firm on the site.
Yeah, this is not bad at all. He's actually got a little bit of help as Shanks will rotate up for the top. Neptune shakes off the detainment and finds an opportunity to take down two. Not done yet. Dapper's still part of this play. He's able to find one in response, but every single bit of this hit from Sentinels has been squandered, and a lot of it is just the fact that Rise survived through the early utility play from Sentinels.
Oh boy. You can see Dapper was hoping for a bit of a long con, but Shanks jumps over, checks it, no problem, and we are indeed going to need a map 3. A much different looking Rise. The Rise we're used to seeing in stage 3 has arrived after a tough one on Breeze and forces a third map. And again, this match is oh so important.
Oh yeah.
If you win today, right here, right now, you are one best of 3 later on this evening away from qualifying for Berlin. So a lot on the line here, and it's fitting that a map 3 will be needed to figure it all out.
It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a dicey one. We had a convincing first map and a convincing second half in the second map. So what will Bind provide for us? We'll let the desk break everything down and give us the setup when we come back right after this.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Duff. I have to give it to my boy.
I'll say Vanity. He's the first one that comes to my head.
Bone Cold.
Finesse is one of the really good ones. I was able to play with him for a short amount of time.
I'd put Steel and Shazam probably up there.
You Shazam?
Shazam. Shazam. Shazam.
But Shazam looking to do something crazy on top of the pipes here. Picks up 1, picks up 2. It's 3 on the...
Yo, fans, about I swear to God, y'all the best thing to listen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the VCT NA playoffs, and we have a tied series right now. Rise Nation able to win out on Ascent to even up the map score 1-1 versus the Reykjavik champions. It's going to be the Sentinels, but I'm going to be your host, Veli, breaking things down with Bach and Vansili, and I'm Bach. First things first, man. Versatility. I can't talk right now.
Versatility?
Versatility, yes. Versatility is value. And we saw Sick on KO. Sky, KO, he does it all. And him on KO was very useful when it came to Sentinels.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, it didn't really work out. Like, we look at this KO pick and we're like, okay, is this the beginning of something awesome? Are we about to see Sick do what Sick has done so many times in the past? Introducing a new character into the fold, a new agent into his repertoire, because he is already known as one of the most versatile players in the world.
Yeah, to start things off at least, for a guy that's like pro KO and pro Breach, I was so happy to see the top team in the world use a KO into here. It worked for a bit when they were getting a little bit of information towards that mid side, but overall, it has to be all about Rise for sure, looking at the second game. Night and day in terms of performances for this team, and I'm going to have to give it also to Derek and to Boys. They're playing in their comfortable roles. This is why I think Rise struggles on a map like Freeze and Icebox, because you also have Superman playing as a Viper, for example. Sorry, I meant to say Superman, not Boys. So now that you have the Astra coming back into this lineup, you're also getting a lot from Derek Overwatch playing as that Silva. They did quite good for the utility to help somebody like Shanks to get the first blood.
And Superman was totally valuable when it came to that Astra, and it's all up to the gravity wells. The way they were able to stop the attack, they were able to just do whatever they wanted because of him. He was an MVP in my eyes when it comes to this, but also info is key, and info is everything when it comes to tactical FPSs, right, Bach?
Yeah, I mean, look at the difference in Neptune's performance on this map compared to the first map. On Breeze, Neptune finished 2-17? Is that even right?
Yeah.
They only played 16 rounds. He died an extra round. How does that happen? Well, obviously they have a Sage. So he got rezzed and died more rounds than they even played. That kind of illustrates how rough the performance was. Neptune turns it around here on map 2, ends up being the top performer for Rise. And not only is he doing it with the stats, he's doing it with the flashes. Those guiding lights were huge. And the combination of the guiding light and the recon dart coming out from Derek, they had all that early information. It felt like this composition was more natural to them, whereas on Breeze, it felt so forced.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I'm sorry, the whole versatility thing is cracking me up. But map 3 is
Hey,
going to
it's
be
better
Bind.
than me with the 50 Cent all eyes on me kind of thing. So thanks
It
for
happens.
saving me here, Belly.
It's all right. But map 3, we're going to Bind. And
Yeah.
Van Silly, we were talking about it, right? Rise looks so comfortable on attack on Ascent. But on the flip side, they're going to have to raise up their defensive game.
Correct.
Because on Bind, we're looking at a 78% win percentage when it comes to attack.
It's
when it
going to
comes
be a tough
Sentinels.
one. It's going to be a tough one because when I mentioned that this series is going to be decided on Breeze, it was going to be for if Rise wins a 2-0 if they win Breeze. If not, it goes to a third map, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Rise to actually overtake Sentinels on this map. Just to look at how it's being played for Rise on this map, I think you're going to have Neptune going over to a Raze, and then this is where Shanks is going away from a Jet and is going to play a Sky. So
Right.
how is that going to affect the playstyle? They are still going to be very aggressive and work as a team, but at least their shots are hitting. That's what we talked about on that second map that I needed to bring up. They finally have it now. We're awake. We have a series now.
Definitely. Bach, any thoughts about map 3 right now? This is it. Rise can walk away with a huge upset in the first series of the day.
I am a little bit concerned about that agent pool. I really don't know what to expect out of them, especially when you look at how well Sentinels plays this map. Sentinels has a 74% attack side win rate on this map. That's really healthy. 57% defensive win rate for Rise. So when you look at those two compared, it's like, okay, this is already a difficult matchup, given that you're playing against some of the best players in the world, not even just North America. But then you're looking at the stats and you're like, okay, that's even painting a deeper and darker picture for Rise.
All right, now the players are ready. Real quick down the line predictions. Who do you have winning tiebreaker map?
I have to go with Sentinels. I don't think you can say anything else.
Sentinels, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see if this is about time to see if Sentinels can close out this series. We heard about the predictions on the desk, but when it comes to it, Whole Shift and Dust, who do you guys have winning it all?
No way you're going to have us predict. That would be Bias Caster City. No chance. We're not going to fall for your bait, Belly. Nice try. But hey, Dust,
Yeah, that was NT.
Here's the thing. You know, big difference maker. Sentinels, we expect the double duelist. On the other side, Rise, we expect the Raze. So thoughts
Not
overall?
just double duelist, double controller. We've been
Also
seeing
true,
a lot of
yeah.
Viper Astra combinations out of Sentinels recently, so that'll be a difference maker. I don't think that Rise will dabble in the double controller in their own right. That'll be kind of one thing that separates them. Also, what duelist gets played will probably separate them because I imagine we're going to be seeing some Reyna coming out of Sentinels alongside. So that will be another thing that'll probably differentiate them. But yeah, Sentinels, since TENZ has been on the team, have a 90% win rate on this map, and they are near 65% on both sides of the map, near 70% on the attack. So, I mean, they are looking – they're not going to have that ring rust issue like they had on Ascent, so to speak. They did play it multiple times throughout the course of July, so they have, you know, that recency on the map to kind of build off of. And while Rise has certainly impressed at times on Bond, you know, beating Gen G, beating FaZe, that helped them get to this point, a lot of their other wins are against, like, just not the same caliber of teams that Sentinels are beating, right? I mean, Sentinels use this map to great effect on LAN and Iceland to go in the championship there, so they're beating top international teams on this map. They've also beaten all the other kind of like fellow top 5 teams in the region on this map. Their only loss that they've had with TENZ on board was a very close one to Gen G, 11-13.
Yeah, they're playing the Euros still on that map, by the way.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I feel like they come in much more of a heavy favorite on Bind than perhaps any other map that we've seen so far this series.
It's a big shout. That much is for sure because, yeah, the relevant statistics just with TENZ is just, he makes any statistic look good, doesn't he?
Zoms? Okay, never mind. Sorry,
Oh.
I misread that. No, everything's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
That's got
I thought, for some reason, I thought Zoms picked Raze, and I was really confused, but then I just realized that I misread. It's fine. Everything's
It's okay. It's okay. It's still early times here for us, too. Don't worry about it. But, yeah, as we would expect here, just rosters as expected. The big thing about this is there aren't a lot of squads out there that are running, like you mentioned, for Sentinels. This double duelist, double controller. It gives them aggression, but it also gives them reaction, too, which is something that some teams have really struggled with when it comes to playing up against Sentinels. Specifically, you look back towards, like, Envy most recently, they really couldn't crack the shell that Sentinels put together defensively.
Yeah, I mean, double controller is something that I feel like Exet was making very famous when Weeded was still on the team. They were kind of like one of the first teams to really stab into it when Viper got her buffs a few patches ago, and Sentinels is one of those teams that have kind of elected to kind of keep that type of play style going forward on a map like this, because when you have Viper and Astra utility down, and you have the aggression of TENZ on the Reyna, you have the aggression capability of Sick on the Raze, as well as the Boombot clearing capabilities, that is such a potent attacking side for this team, again, with this type of composition, which they've been using for quite some time, aside from whenever they experiment with Yoru for like a couple of games, which, whatever, you know, we'll let that one go. But again, there's still a near 70% attack win rate on this map with this composition. I mean, this is going to be a really tough ask out of Rise defensively, who, you know, that is their strong side. That is their favorite side on this map. But again, they have, like, when they've lost some of these games, it has been because their defense has faltered, like against Gen.G and FAZE when they lost those series. Though defensively, they were only getting like 6 or so rounds as well. They had to have like a really strong attack to help. They don't usually dominate defensively, is what I'm saying. They usually get like 6 or so rounds to give themselves a chance.
So is that kind of the temperature in the water for you here? Like, you need 6 or 7 if you're Rise on this first defensive half in your mind?
I think you need 5 or 6 rounds, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's the frame up. Rise going to get a little bit aggressive. Whoa, sick. Has he fully anticipated this? Timing might just be perfect. TENZ is going to read it for sure. And they will very quickly back away as Sentinels will actually use the forward position from Shazam to get quickly on over towards A. Derek backing away, but look at Dapper. He's already cutting off this rotation in the back. It just comes down to the timing. Does he want to peek this or does he want to just hold? It looks like he's just going to hold. Spike is going to come down. And the trigger doesn't put everyone no! Shazam is still punching twice, and he's able to take down one. And with that, it will go trade for trade. We're in a 3v3.
Yeah, let's see how the rest of this plays out, because that was a little bit, I don't know, like, this anticlimactic. But Sentinels do still go with the win, I guess. Oh, Zoms didn't deserve her wreck like that, man. He did everything so right except for click the mouse at the right place.
The thing about it, though, is, again, you have 2
a lot of
players
information
so forward. It's just, yeah, there's no way that Rise cleanly take through, and the paint shells are so huge. So a little unfortunate for
The thing is, I would say his aim was actually even better than you think, because he managed to click the one spot where someone's head wasn't at. Like, he actually found the gap. So, I mean, tip your hat to him.
Yeah, that's intentional, of course.
Early detection system. You know, he's just like a really loud alarm bot, you know? That's all it was. It's all fine.
Well, Sick will take paint shells to clear out Hookah. Superman was considering contesting it, but backs away. Heavy defensive stack here for Rise over towards the B side, trusting that Poise could lock things down and maybe even walk away with one, but he's going to walk away with none as he decides instead to tactfully retreat. And instead, Rise are going to overload B long, trying to maybe play around the back.
Yeah, I mean, they have to roll the dice in a round like this. You don't really have the weaponry. You have to try to go for these, you know, crafty pushes and stacks. And unfortunately for them, by the time they get into position, Spike's already down. Great post-plant positioning from Sentinels. They have a player watching for this flank. That's going to be Zoms. So I think all should be fine.
Okay, well, Rise are taking the scenic route, going through the caves. I mean, you got to go quickly if you're actually going to put together a retake off of this. But look at Zoms trying to fish out. Maybe they did go all the way around the back. Will get a read and keeps his life. Very important stuff. And the only play that could have happened from the pinch from Poise is taken out. No problem. So Sigma is holding a corner. Good help here from TENZ. There will only be 1 kill to speak of. And Sentinels, as expected, take the anti-eco.
Yeah. I mean, you just have so much utility at your disposal with this Sentinels lineup that they have. I mean, you could dump all of Viper's utility on one site to kind of throw feints or use for actual attacks while still saving all the Astra Stars for the other side. So you can just kind of do this back and forth. Or you can stack all of it together and you're just like one massive blob into a site, basically. Like, good luck getting vision, good luck stopping them from cutting off angles. You combine that with an owl drone, some recons, the boom bot. There's just so much info gathering and denial capability that the Sentinels composition is going to have with this double controller in play. Looks like this time they're looking to get a little bit hot and spicy early over at Hoop.
Shanks, though, does respond to this, able to at least keep Sentinels honest through Hookah, but they still will push forward. Lear will come out. Shanks playing through the Octagon does not expect Zoms to delay too long. They're trying to hold the corner. Will find one. Spams holds down the trigger, but can't find a second. It's TENZ who collects the kill, and with that, Sentinels will plant.
Be a tough retake now for Rise. All 3 players still stuck in the defensive halls, trying to come through with their boom bot, try to get over towards container. They are able to get into the site itself, but and you still have 4 members remaining. You still have Sick with the showstopper as an insurance policy. Spike planted really well for them. Be a very tough ask for Rise.
Well, Sentinels are going to trust that wasn't a full-on defuse. The only player to check that is TENZ. He's blocked by Nebulous. Now Zoms has to go back forward. TENZ to find the trade. Showstopper comes through with the 9. And that's it. He's holding for the defusal. And Rise will stick it right under the noses of Sentinels to bounce back, find the 3rd round. Beautifully done.
Oh, cutting off that showstopper was so clutch. That wins them the round. That gets them the retake. Again, they're down a man. They're having to use a bunch of utility just to get into the side itself. Obviously, they still don't really have a way to contend with Octagon and hookah position. Other than maybe a smoke here or there to try to block some vision. And then they just push out that showstopper and get the frag. That's so huge. What a frag. To take him out like that. You think Sick has that dead to rights and just gets cut off and clotheslined.
Early guiding light comes through, actually flashes 3, but there was no follow-up from Shanks. Just holding on to Hookah aggressively. Recon bolt over the top, destroyed, but information still gained. Shock Dart going to clear out the front side of Hookah. Shanks just underneath, hiding inside of the net. There's a lot of utility getting pushed through, and they actually spam down the wall. Find Shanks, no problem. Poised and Derek, the only players that are responsible for holding on, and Derek unfortunately cannot find Sit. Poised only good for 1, and again, Sentinels will collect and be able to find a way to plant here on B.
Indeed. Tougher retake, even more this time for Rise, as they only have 2 members for this one, but Superman able to find the opening frag pretty quickly there. Shazam, though, quick to respond. Neptune gets right back into it, and with Dapper being low on HP, maybe there's a chance.
This comes down to the timing of the beacon. Unfortunately, does not get the gun up in time. Dapper ready for the wide angle. So Sentinels, another quick round towards B, get the plant off early, but this time Rise not able to retake.
And that's a perfect example of when Simpletons say that Sentinels just hold W. Yeah, maybe if you're just like really glancing at the minimap and not looking at anything else, you could say that, but the layering of utility gives them that capability, right? It's not only their fearlessness as players and their aim, it's also how they layer the snake bites, you know, around that 2 position to kind of block out that having to be an area of concern, being able to get those smokes down at elbow, at back halls, be able to use that to get some space, and then keep an eye on it, make sure that no one's going to push through it and do something crafty, you know, being disciplined to kind of keep an eye on the smokes. It's definitely a combination of things there for Sentinels, not just holding down the W key.
I don't know if Derek is going to recognize that his recon bolt did not connect with the billboard. It kind of went through. I mean, you saw for a moment, it was Zoms who was looking at it and was there to destroy it if needed to, but it doesn't connect. So Derek thinks maybe he's got an opportunity to push forward. Zoms denies him in now a very early 5v4 in which you still have Rise just on pistol upgrades.
Yeah, and they're having to just kind of stack U-Haul. And again, it's one of those rounds where you kind of have to roll the dice when you only have these basic pistols to work with for the most part. Sentinels Dapper are going to use the orb to block U-Haul vision to get into site itself. TENZ also clearing out some corners there. And Dapper's aware of this possibility. You can see him throwing that snake bite, shock dart follow up as well, and boom, that's Neptune down. And they're doing a great job of not dropping the ball in anti-eco situations. Like, they're paving their way into sites effectively. They're using their utility appropriately to, you know, give them sanctuary and not allow them to run into those traps. And they're up 4-1 now because of it.
A big round coming up here for Rise just to try to respond. But yeah, this whole play seemed a bit strange because the Nebula was there to try to maybe gain some space for Derek. But after that initial faulty kind of push through B main, well, it just turned into Sentinels, like you mentioned, is not giving away an advantage. Something that they were so good at, not just in Iceland, but before that. When they find an advantage, they rarely give away rounds or even deaths at that point.
There's all the alts now for the Rise in this round. All the alts.
Yeah, you have to win this round.
So, yeah, I mean, if you layer a couple of those appropriately, you should be able to make a big play somewhere, whether that be retake or holding a position. Sick, using his utility. Once again, they get that hookah control. It's always a nice staple to have, right? If you're constantly able to get hookah presence here with your Raze, it kind of denies intel and gives you a bunch of different options, but they're not ready for Neptune being boosted. He's able to get 1, then goes down.
Oh, Eric Hunter's Fury locks down Shazam, almost connects with TENZ as well. This gains a lot of space for Poise to continue to keep this cyber cage as the only bit of concealment he needs, but the Viper's Pit will provide a bit of a deterrence here. Poise is going to decide to push through this. He does have a couple of trap wires that maybe keep him safe in case there is some sort of an existential play outside of the Viper's Pit. Defense is rotating quickly. Seeker's trying to help clear. Six still holding on to Hookah. That will be now North, but the Poise going to go right on inside. Cannot find Dapper. Big missed opportunity, so Sentinels still hold with 3v3 situations. Spike has not been planted yet, but it might not need to be. TENZ able to find one more. It's all on to the last 2 Rise defensive players. Shanks in the corner. He's got an operator and a pistol to use. He does find 1. That will clear the Viper's Pit. Derek 1v2, not going to be able to find the first. TENZ with 3 kills in the rounds, and Sentinels go up 5-1.
Yeah, such a great use of Viper's Pit there for Sentinels, not only for giving them sanctuary and getting them into the site, but also they were able to use their shooting patterns to bait people into coming into the pit, and then they had someone ready for it, right? Particularly when you saw Shanks there try to come in with Sky. I mean, it was basically being played like a fiddle. Sentinels were trying to get him to come in. They had Sick waiting for that very moment to happen, and it allowed them to just kind of keep ahead in the trading. Now, luckily for Rise, they didn't burn all their ults there. They only used 2. So they still have a lot coming into this next round, but so does Sentinels. And they have a very big firepower advantage.
Oh boy. And it's just after the 100 sure you feel so good about Rise's chance to hold off on the play. But woulda, coulda, shoulda is really the only way you can kind of frame up that previous round. Rise now in a very dire position. One-way Nebula gives Neptune an opportunity to play from up top. Does find one. Gravity Well will stall the play. Paint shells to follow. I believe he knows that he's got TENZ stuck in a corner, but TENZ able to slip through. Keeping his life is absolutely massive.
Yeah, that was big to be able to get away like that and at least keep yourself afloat, that they are still a man down, and TENZ has no way to heal himself back yet. So this is still giving a huge edge here to Rise. Great crossfire for Neptune and Shanks here over towards U-Haul and Claus's position. And looks like they're able to start battling this attack back, though Shazam is able to get one, gets it into a 3-on-4, still has some time. They still have spike possession. They could still double back to the portal.
Shanks does not expect Shazam to free himself forward past the teleporter. He's going to find after U-Haul. This has all gone wrong. Zymes finds the third. This was a 3v4 favoring Rise. Yes, of course, they're just on SMGs, but you felt so good about their crossfire locking down main.
Yeah, I mean, Neptune and Shanks certainly did have the perfect positioning there. They also did a great job pressuring TENZ off and basically making him a non-factor going forward. It really was down to Shazam to make the play at that point, and Tommy was able to do it with a combination of shock darts and wit. Able to get himself in such a prime position in U-Haul and just come up with 3 big frags, and that's one of the great values about Shazam. I mean, if you look at this roster, you obviously praise Sick due to his consistency, right? Because he's always plays at a very, very high level, and he's very flexible on what agents he can play. Then obviously you have TENZ, who's just, you know, the shock and awe factor, the star, right? But Shazam is that guy who I think finally got his credit at Iceland, where not only is he a leader, and he's been able to figure out a way to put all the parts together on this team role-wise and get them operating at a high level tactically, but he also can, when need be, come out and make a big play like that individually. He was one of their best fraggers at Iceland, in fact. So really well done there by him to save the day.
So now Rise looking at 3 ultimates to potentially spend. Cosmic Divide, Showstopper, Neural Theft on the table in their next buy round, and one that you feel like you need to win. And unfortunately, Derek, I don't think has actually seen the information on this play from Sentinels. Now we'll confirm it. Aldrone will be through to also double check to see how many players are here. Lear will come out. TENZ still wants to maybe take away an angle, but he's not going to really gain too much with this. Derek still holding his ground.
Yeah, that was good. Derek got key information. Not only did he spot 2 players, but he spotted 2 players, right? And that kind of gives him an idea of whether this is like more of just kind of default and map control, you know, or whether this is like a committal type thing where they're really looking to get heavy-handed on the B side of the map. Not only that, they maintain control of hookah position this time around, which is a big adjustment because they've been losing that pretty often in the early round. So being able to maintain that gives them a lot more to play with on B site, utility-wise and personnel-wise, and also gives them a little bit more flexibility to have this third player rotating now over to A side and be prepared for this attack, as we are seeing the orb go down and it'll start to look to pave the way up short.
Gravity Well will stall them for a bit. Superman, though, gets spammed through the toxic screen. Oh, what a key loss that is. Boys now has to essentially vacate heaven to get onto the site itself, trying to contest from any sort of point, but TENZ seems to know that he's here, and yeah, sure does. Finds the kill, responds to the last defender over through U-Haul, and then Derek, who tried to wander on in, died. Only play available would be Neptune from the flank, as he was previously in hookah, but Zam reads that as well, so flawless again from Sentinels, and all of a sudden, things look a bit desperate for Rise, down 1-7.
That's one of those situations where knowing is half the battle. Like, yeah, they got a good read on Octagon early. Yeah, they got a good 3-man rotation. But again, with that layering of Astra and Viper utility, there's so much vision blocking going on there to give Sentinels a lot of pocket space to kind of maneuver through. And it gets to a point where, yeah, like, look at Poise being forced to just play like a really tough position. Being forced to jump out heaven, play in that back corner, basically get stuck there. And it just doesn't really allow them a whole lot of play. So Sentinels, again, just being very overbearing and are able to come into this round with a huge edge.
Oh, Eric. That is going to be a huge bit of damage coming through. Sick wants the contest, and oh, actually, Neptune wants to give him a go up here. And the double peek is actually very successful. That was a solo play from Sick, by the way. So a weapon has been collected. Opportunity here. Maybe pull off a thrifty if they can get away. Dapper was quick to follow up and does find elimination, but Superman, meanwhile, mid-map, keeps the numbers in favor of the side of Rise. Trying to hold the ground is poised. He will fall, and all of a sudden, the advantage of the AR picked up has been denied. Derek, who is tagged down heavily, will also fall. And it's on to Super and Shanks to try to contest. They want to go quickly. Flash will come through. Dapper playing through long, though, will deny any extra engagement, and that will be Sentinels taking the 8th round.
And that's another thing that makes Sentinels so good that you have to really highlight here, Shift, and that is their ability to be reactionary and decisive when things start to go wrong. When you start getting buried in all the chaos of the mid-round, you're, having a push get used against you, you lose a player, you're giving a gun away, Shazam gets caught on short, things are going wrong, but it's in that moment where they very quickly decide, all right, let's send it, we have to, and they just plow into B. They know that they have Derek pinned down, low health back aside, they're able to clear that out, they're able to at least battle back and chase down the exchange that happened at Hookah, and able to still come with the victory despite, some of the things that went against them early on in the round.
A little bit more of aggressive defensive prodding going on here from both sides of the map. Successful through B-Long, unsuccessful through Showers. So we stay 4v4. Superman on 1 HP, that's the big key. But Sentinels are committing forward to get on towards A. Defensively, there is nobody here at the moment for Rise. But still, Sentinels a little bit apprehensive to go for a quick plant, so they still can fight back.
Yeah. The problem is there's no Shanks for Rigo, so Superman's stuck on this 1 HP, which makes him such a low factor in being able to have impact on this retake now. Stick looking to go all the way up with these rockets, and at least it's the 1 health player, I guess, for Rise's mistake, but still a tough one.
Yeah, ultimate versus health comparison. Not exactly full value, but the elimination in the space, more importantly, was big. But Neptune can respond of one of his own, able to take down Dapper. Shazam playing from a clutch spot deep through middle. TENZ here to guard him with an Empress. Space been gained. Neptune gonna stick on in. Hunter's coming out. TENZ wants to peek through it, and he finds himself two. One more available. Able to still dismiss on the backside of the Hunter's Fury, and the finesse from TENZ, exquisite. That will be good for 4 and the round. 9-1 up our Sentinels.
Even when you think you got it wrapped up, you can never quite count on it to be gifted to you. I mean, I have to give credit to Rise. They used a great combination of Neural Theft and Showstopper to actually get themselves a numbers advantage back, despite, losing Superman inside Heaven thanks to the Showstopper of Sick and just all the space the Sentinels were getting on site and getting that safe post plant. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got a combination of TENZ and Shazam ults just bobbing and weaving around and able to still steal the round away from them.
Early aggression here from Rise, and oh boy, it's all gone wrong. One flash will come through. That's just to get the Shanks away from the play initially. Tries to retake, but it's only good for 1 elimination. Looking good for 10 unless Poise can double up. Not going to be the case, and it's just down to Derek with a Marshall for a 1v3.
Yeah, some might say that Bond's looking like a breeze for Sentinels.
Hey,
you can take that one a bunch of different ways. Now, I actually just came up with that. No lie.
I'm really proud of you.
That's my job here for years, so I hope that I could every now and then come up with a nugget.
A golden nugget at that.
Last round before the switch.
One of those.
True.
Here.
There's something to be said about how Golden Sentinels are looking right now, but I'm not going to go there.
Yep.
Yes, this should do.
Although I think you could argue I just did, but
yeah, you did.
This is a nice spot.
It's almost like a humble brag when you do something like that. It's like, I'm not going to do this, but
it's like, well, for me, it's like I'm not creative to think of something on the spot right now, but my mind is working on it, so trust that I had something built up and was trying to spare the audience at large.
Yeah, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take in commentary. You can also get yourself into a lot of trouble, don't get me wrong, so be careful on what shots you take, but, take a shot every now and then.
Speaking of, Sentinels aggressively through Hookah, and oh my. It's just the spam that we've seen a couple of different rounds here through the edge of Hookah hasn't even give Rise a chance to fight back. Seekers from behind, sure, but Shanks is so far away from this play. Derek is trying to delay with the Hunter's Fury. He does find one to his credit. But actually, Shanks doesn't go. Wow, okay. I thought by the Seekers coming from behind, they would have known that the play was going to be here sooner rather than later, but not the case. So the spike doesn't get planted. Trailblazer will see Shazam and Rise could salvage the second round here, pending. Zombs doesn't do something unbelievable. And well, this is going to be a very difficult 1v2 as he will have to re-aggress back into the site.
Yeah, if his teammate could have stayed alive a little bit longer, maybe he finds a way to get this 1v1 against Derek and get in. But now he's stuck in a very difficult 1v2. He does have time. That's about all he's got going for him right now. Trying to find a way in here. Gets 1v1, but Derek able to win the duel. And so Rise fits another one in there right at the end. But, I mean, outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot to highlight, unfortunately. They had a couple of rounds that were pretty close, but it's just, again, Sentinels were a little bit more comfortable in being reactionary in some of those chaotic mid-round moments and came out on top on the vast majority of them. So, again, like Breeze, a big lead going in the second half.
Indeed. So you said they needed 5 or 6. Not the case. So see if Rise can find a way to respond on the offense when we come back after this. Welcome back, everybody. I hold shift with Dust, and a very similar scoreline to what we had in Breeze. Only one extra round to the positive here for Rise. It's been an all Sentinels affair, and a required pistol coming up here, Dust, if Rise want to stay in this series.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough, too, considering that Sentinels, with this lineup, has been well over 60% win rate defensively. And with 10 rounds already in the bag, seems almost unquestionable they'll eventually find what they need to get out of this one with the dub, but hopefully Rise can maybe try to put some doubt in that, as this pistol is certainly a necessity. Becomes a bit of a cliche sometimes when people talk about how important a pistol round is, but it really is when you're this far behind.
Yeah.
You can handle a loss if it's like 7-5, 6-6, something like that. Even 8-4.
8-4, as I said, that's where I draw the line. Yeah.
Yeah, but once you're like down double digits, it's like, all right, that pistol, we're gonna need that.
Yeah. But Rise have avoided the early prodding of information from Sentinels mid-map, and they're looking to reaggress here. It will cost them an owl drone. Sick will be here to read this. And also still has the paint shell. Oh
Spike down
my.
A.
Just the way that he takes that shell. Unreal. TENZ up top. No problem. He's got a shot at Brandon. What in the heavens is that? Rise will have to escape into the teleporter, but that is an escape that doesn't really provide them any safety whatsoever.
I mean, Superman's about to get memed on. Let's be real about it. The man's about to get absolutely
30
wrecked.
seconds left.
Yeah, go ahead and play like Astral Chess, but you're about to get wrecked here. They're trying to make sure he's still in the portal right now. They don't know for sure. I think maybe he might have got out of it. Now they Oh, that's a nice little shot. Not the best you could have hoped for, really.
But that is
I was expecting like 3 teleporters with knives out or something. Yeah, that's a tough loss, though, in the grand scheme of things. Though, I mean, it forces you to force buy basically, and it just makes it an uphill climb. It's already won, and now it's just deeper. Yeah, TENZ just happened.
One enemy remaining.
Even the peak from Sick in the first place, like the confidence to know, yeah, the owl drone is there, but if I throw paint shells in the middle of this play and still peek, at worst I go 1 for 1, maybe even 1 for 2.
Right.
Unbelievable. Out, Dapper shakes, maybe eyeing up potential play through showers, and Dapper is just going to make sure nobody will push through, so he will get out. And for Rise, it all really falls on this force buy situation with these upgraded pistols and SMGs.
Yeah, we already see Shanks taking a little bit of chip damage from the snake bite of Dapper, so it softens him up just a little bit going forward. Not too big of a deal, but small things start adding up when you're this far behind.
Yeah.
So you are going to see Rise trying to make an approach here with Poise through long. Shock Dart able to clear out Octagon to give him that little bit of space. Also has a player trying to get into Hookah at the same time. Great shot from Poise indeed. But the chase from Sick, Zombs is starting to give them right back the edge.
Spike was never a part of this play, though, and Supa makes his way forward. And beyond that, I don't think anyone's read that Shanks is as far past as he's gotten. So the spike will be retrieved. That's Derek who has it in hand. Sentinels are committing to rotate over, but this is a 3v4 where they don't even really hold the weapon advantage. So this retake is going to have to be sooner rather than later. Oh, not like this. Not like this.
Player standing.
I love that from Zombs, knowing that Sick is in an exposed position down below. He had just jumped. He was probably going to get killed, and Zombs is right there running in to make sure he doesn't get trade off of it.
10 seconds left.
Again, that is a decisiveness that makes Sentinel so great.
Man, it's just like the
timing
like a really
of the small
peak,
detail,
too.
but
match point.
it's a small detail, but when you start adding it all up, and you just start to realize how together this team is.
If that peak comes a second later, rises through the teleporter back over to B. Man. Not a lot of ground fear for Rise to stand on. In fact, you would probably figure they're being charged by the minute here. So 12-2 the count, and man, it's just there's not a lot going right here for Rise on this map 1 or map 3 now.
After it gets pushed off by the cam, Aldro does a good job pushing Sick back deep into U-Haul, so we are seeing Rise getting a little bit of space here. They're trying to use that with the blast pack to get up there and get a pick, but Sentinel's able to keep dropping back little by little, but they still wind up folding. Big entries from Rise here. They need this to survive, obviously, and at least they're going to get a plant.
That's not bad at all. A lot of that was actually through the chip damage from the decay as well, so beautiful response here from Rise. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though. They've got a long way to go. Regrowth will actually get this team back to essentially full HP, though, so that's good news. And Superman will live peek onto TENZ, no problem. Boys looking for the same on the Zombs. No, surely not.
Surely not.
Weapon's been picked up by Shazam, though. He's got an angle at this. Able to find one. No, don't give him the second. Just don't give him the second. Okay.
Oh, they almost did. They almost gave him a chance there. Even Shanks I was a bit concerned about when he got spotted by Shazam. I thought maybe there was a chance there, but they do get it done, and it really just comes down to like great use of their cam, great use of the owl drone to start forcing players back, give them an initial space to start pushing into sight, and then getting those clean entries. The thing is, can you do that 10 more times in a row?
Well, if you're looking for an answer from me, you're not going to get a positive reaction to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough. I guess 9 times in a row to guarantee overtime.
Yeah. But at least they do have Sentinels on the pistols, so
that's true.
Silver linings again.
Yeah, but the alts are coming back here soon for Sentinels as well. They'll be bought back next round also, so they really have to start getting into like 9 or so rounds before you really start to put faith in the full-on comeback for OT, but one step at a time.
Gauge triggered.
Information here, Shazam. No, my goodness.
Okay.
Still, though, the fact that he gets one. It's already stalled the play, and Sick gets one more mini
That's
map.
Spike.
That is Spike indeed, my friend. So Sick will move forward. With the collecting SMG, Zombs is actually working this now with him. Seekers have been sent. Recon Bolt will reveal one. Although, Seekers, in combination with the Guiding Light, have both been deleted. Sick looking to take this fight aggressively, but Derek will find the second. And even though there was a bit of electricity in the air, it looks like Rise should be cruise control for a win. I mean, it's just after on Frenzy, he would have to do something unbelievable.
And that Trailblazer pretty much seals the deal.
30 seconds left.
Wait for him to do the snake in the grass any longer. Shanks will clear him out, and Rise will get the W. It's always scary when you have to work that hard for a round you're already this far behind and you're up against a low buy. It just, I feel like it keeps like Sentinels on a mental high. Like they know what they've got. They know that they're still causing trouble even when they're dropping a couple of rounds here and there. They still have plenty of room to burn. And now they're back onto several alts and full rifles, so big moment here for Rise. I feel like this is the round that gives you that juicy need to maybe start
sure.
back. If you can get this one, force another save, get yourself to 6. All of a sudden, you know, the distance you need to travel looks a little bit shorter.
Shanks? No. He thought he was cheeky.
Can't have that.
Yeah, avoiding the boom bot, but not the case, and Poise also falls. Not looking good here. 5v3 situation. No room for Rise to work with anywhere on the map. Unless maybe Derek can isolate Shazam here, but I think Shazam did catch the shoulder and is not interested in being gate kept, so he will back away. And it really all falls on what happens in this playthrough B-Long.
Yeah, I mean, they have to just send it at this point, but they're already down 2 players. It's a great setup here for Shazam and TENZ, holding an octagon position. Not really a way forward for them. Great little trade there, thanks to Shazam. And Zombs. Just one left.
Neptune 1v3, trying to force it, not going to happen. So a handful of one-sided affairs here and there leads to Sentinels taking the series 2-1, and it's just off the back end of just 2 convincing maps. I mean, you mentioned it, you know, the rust off the ring, just kind of getting back into Ascent, but Breeze and Bind were undeniable from Sentinels overall. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just a dominant performance from Sentinels today. You know, obviously just wreaking havoc on Breeze, then here on the final map also winning it in a pretty one-sided fashion. A great showing from Rise on Ascent, obviously. At least we got to see a little bit of what they're capable of there, which I think is good because I feel like they are a solid team, but they just didn't show up when they needed to on Bind. I mean, that was really their ticket. Yeah. I mean, Breeze was always going to be a gamble because they hadn't played it in an official yet, and so it really was going to come down to this one, and unfortunately they just didn't have any gas in the tank for this third map.
Well, that'll do it for our first series here against Sentinels, one step away from qualifying to Berlin. And after their little sizzle reel talking about how they don't just want to get to Berlin and win, they want to make sure they're the only North American team to see the glory. Well, they're looking very much so in prime position to do just that. We'll throw things back over to the desk. They'll give you the breakdown, and we'll be back for match number 2, rather, when we get to the point of it. It's going to be 100 Thieves going up against FAZE. Not going to be a fun one. Not a fun one. Not going to be a bad one to miss, so don't go too far.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Analyst Desk, and as usual, I'm your host, Veli, and I'm here with my mans, Bach and Vansili. And Bach, when it comes to Bind, we thought this was going to be a close map, and what were your ultimate thoughts?
I honestly didn't think it was going to be a close map. I thought ultimately when we came into this one, it's like you said, they were going to have to win Breeze. The series started on Breeze. That was Rise's key to success. We thought they stood a chance on Ascent, but the second it went to Bind, we knew this was going to be Sentinel's series to win, or for that matter, to lose even. They would have to seriously screw things up. And I'm definitely a little bit lost. I don't love some of the things that we saw from Rise. I don't like the way they juggled some of their roles around, and ultimately it just felt kind of clumsy.
Yeah, I do feel like the idea that they have with this composition, not having a Viper who seems to be like a staple on this map right now, is the idea of Rise, yeah, they want to try to fight for map control on this defender side. You see these aggressive pushes along B or whatnot, but the same thing for Sentinels is that it's a map that's so comfortable for them that they're okay of fighting back really quickly. I want to take, for example, one round where they're trying to take hookah control for Sentinels. Sick actually lost the initial round to Pistols, but then what happens after? You have TENZ running, holding W just behind, with another player to make sure that they trade. I'm pretty sure that was Dapper, just so that nobody's able to pick up a gun on the defender side and set up on the defense. So for Sentinels to just aggress back, not give a chance for Rise to get any type of footing on the map, on any control, definitely showed the demise here of Rise on his third map.
And taking a look at the total stats right now to see the breakdown happen. Rise Nation loses 4-13 on tiebreaker map, which was Bind, which is going to send them straight to the loser side of the bracket. But let's talk about the credit karma, instant karma moment for just a second now. I want to give a big shout out to them as well, because even though Rise lost his first series, there's a lot of positive things that are definitely coming out of him. And one of the main reasons has to do with Superman and what he was doing on the scene.
Yeah, definitely. It was mostly on the attacker side where we're talking about Superman playing his role, how it works out in his favor, and it helps out Rise. Just a simple gravity well towards A main, allowing two players to push forward, and on top of that, not legal for trades. They both won their duels. And that just opened up an easy 5-on-3 to start off the round. So very well done at least to have that going for Superman.
Yeah, and it's that and the combination of that guiding light too, that 1-2 punch both coming in at the same time. You could see Sick goes for that aggressive peek with the knife coming out as KO, and he instantly is blinded. He just turns around and starts running into a wall. He's getting sucked back into the gravity well. His teammate has to dash away, so he doesn't even offer up support. He tries to come in for the refrag, get the trade, but he's already half HP at that point. So it's just really well set up.
You're right, and that's the feeling of instant karma right there. But still, Rise, they have a chance to make it to Berlin, but they're going to have to fight it out and not lose one more time, because that's going to be it. Sentinels move along to face the winner of TSM and Envy. And Vancilli, you were checking out that game. Oof. What's happening right now?
It's back and forth. I mean, we had Breeze finally come out again, actually, on this map, in this qualifier. And to see that TSM actually won 10-2.5, but it still finished 13-11. There was some iffiness going on for TSM's map pick after all on Breeze, but now on Ascent, it's really back and forth, so I'm loving this series so far.
Oh, yeah. Now, coming up next here on the main stream, by the way, Bach, we have a team that you thought was going to do extremely well, or you think they're going to do extremely well this event. It's going to be 100 Thieves, and it's going to be FaZe as well. What are your thoughts about that matchup?
I think that FaZe definitely has a difficult task in front of them. I think that 100 Thieves is looking better than they potentially ever have. I think the meta right now really leans in 100 Thieves' favor. You've got this more slow, methodical pace to the play that works really well for 100 Thieves, but you still have that pop-off factor because you've got Asuna and you've got, obviously, the rest of the skill on this roster as well. Yeah. One of the most interesting stat lines I've had when I've been digging through this, though, is it leads into the Hiko is a baiter meme. He's got only, like, 10 rounds across all of the rounds of play where he's gone for a first fight.
Yeah, well,
like, compared to anyone else, it's like 3% of rounds he tries to take a first fight.
The thing for me is I'm going to have to disagree with you, actually. With 3.0, I actually do see this double duelist comp coming back. So the aggression coming out from FaZe could actually pay off, because why? Astra got nerfed. There's less utilities to go off the wrap, you know? So we got to figure out what's going to happen going into the series. But, I mean, we have time to talk about that. Okay,
fellas, we're going to break all that down coming up next. But speaking of coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we also have a B stream where we have Simo and Ender tearing it up. I can't wait to hear their cast later on. But coming up next here on the A stream, we're going to have FaZe versus 100 Thieves, and I can't wait. We're going to see you guys soon after this break.
Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the Hit you with the Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Got the money in the bank. Bank, 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 bank. Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang to the break. Bang, 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 bang. I'm a boss and you know that I'm finna shine. Got the money in the bank. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Analyst Desk here for the VCT NA playoffs. We have the 8 best teams in NA battling it out to represent us out there in Berlin, Germany, and I can't wait to see who does it best. But here on the desk with me, it's going to be Bach and Vancillion. Fellas, the last match we saw, Sentinels once again win and they move forward. What is there to say about them?
Just another Tuesday.
Yeah, literally just another day at the office. I mean, that's exactly what we expect to see from them, so not really too surprised.
Oh, you're definitely right. Now, let's take a look at the bracket, by the way, to see what's going to happen and who Sentinels are going to play against. Now, this match that's on right now on the B stream, make sure you catch that. It's going to be so important. We have TSM facing off against Envy, and the winner of that will play against Sentinels. But Rise on the other end, they're going to be in a loser's bracket, and this is it for them. They can't mess up anymore.
I mean, I think we all want FaZe Ignition Series rematch. Sentinels versus TSM for qualification to Berlin. Like, you really couldn't write a better storyline. TSM finally returning to form. Sentinels laughing at that because of the fact that it's been so long. And then on the other side of the bracket, XSET and LG also should be a really good series after that. But we've got 100 Thieves and FaZe coming up in a second.
I actually think you have two great storylines on whoever wins between Envy and TSM.
I agree.
Right? Because you're looking at this point, if it's TSM versus Sentinel, it's like, okay, when TSM was dominant last year, it's like, okay, Sentinels is here. Who's that #1 team? Now we have the answer, but TSM wants that back. If it's Envy, they met against each other, Sentinels and Envy, like 9 times, and Envy only beat them like once or twice. But now that they have Ye, could be a different story.
And it's talking about a comeback story. This is going to be a good one that's coming up right now. FaZe versus 100 Thieves. Now, you take a look at FaZe, and what do we remember? We remember the Smeeg over there in Masters, where we all worked the desk, by the way. It was incredible. But this team, they fell off, and they're trying to work their way back up. They've made a team change, and there's a name on there that I really love to see, and it's Baby J.
Yeah, Baby J is a great player, great addition to this team right now, too. And you were talking about it here, Veli. They're trying to find an identity. And I think it's a very similar where they're trying to find their identity in an IGL at the same time, because I had an interview with Coach Trippy, and he told me they had different IGLs on different maps, which now makes the playstyle quite different for FaZe. And I wanted to just finish the point that we had before the break. I think this patch 3.0 definitely complements the playstyle of FaZe going into this, because you have to be very smart in your utility on how you want to deploy that into the later rounds, because they cost more, you get less in flashes and stuff like that too. So that actually gives a lot of opportunity for map control, early map control, if you do want to bring that Shmeeg out.
The question is, though, is the game fast enough for them to play the way they want to play, or is it slow enough to allow 100 Thieves? Because even though it's not the same as it was back in Stage 1, Stage 2, you really saw how they struggled. They didn't make it into a single Challengers event. They didn't qualify. They kept getting stopped up in the open qualifier process. Sure, they do a lot better here, and the game may be speeding up in comparison to how it was, but is it quite where it was in Stage 1 when they were able to exploit that?
Yeah, I think this is where Baby J definitely steps up and helps the team, because his utility, the selfless plays that he has as a Sentinel, and other maps actually where he plays a Breach, it actually enables those two duelists for Baby Baze, and for Corey.
Now, the other team that they're going to be playing against is going to be 100 Thieves, the team that struck first in First Strike. They're coming back now, and Bach, I know you like this team, and I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it. Pound for pound, player for player, this is the scariest team full of individuals that I see here in Valorant so far here in A. And you have Austin on that list. They're disgusting.
I think, honestly, there's quite a bit of pressure on 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Sure, they're a team that's used to kind of dealing with that pressure because you have so much veteran esports experience between Hiko and Steel and Nitro. Even Ethan had a good run towards the top end of CS. Soon as the only one at the end that doesn't really have that experience, but I don't think he lets it get to him because he's kind of just this nutty fragger. But I worry, looking at this team, that there's high expectations for them to like make it to Berlin, potentially win that event, especially considering they've had time. It's not like this roster was formed last week. They've been working with this roster for a while. Something needs to click, or I worry that a change could be coming.
Right now, talking about a chance in order to go to Berlin, the weight is going to be heavy on a player named Asuna. And Bach, I need your help with this. We saw his killing spree over there on Icebox, where he popped off, what was it, 48 kills?
Yeah.
Right. Now, how important is he going to be in this head-to-head, especially going against the likes of Baby Bay, the crazy Jet on FaZe?
I kind of want to lean towards Asuna here. Like, sure, Baby Bay's been great, but he's so... I'm trying to think of the word. He relies on the AWP a little bit too much, I feel like. Sure, his rifle work isn't bad, but when you compare the two, there's greater flexibility for Asuna. Asuna can play an AWP role if he needs to, but he's mostly going to rifle, and he really pops off as a Reyna compared to a Jet, whereas Jet's not as versatile, doesn't necessarily play as many maps. Also, Asuna can flex around on a couple of the other duelists in the game and still have a really good performance, whereas I feel like Baby Bay is super dependent. I don't want to say one trick because I feel like that's dismissive, but in comparison to Asuna, definitely a little bit lighter in what he's able to do. His depth isn't quite there.
I do definitely agree. I think it's the same type of like idea you have on Wardell in the beginning too, though, right? Wardell
Yeah.
being like, oh, maybe one trick, relying too much on the op, but it works, right? It works for a lot of these teams as well. Look at Europe. If you have somebody like Ascend that always has Sini and playing the Jet, they qualified. They're probably the top team in Europe right now. So that Jet, staying as a one-trick Jet is actually very powerful for a lineup right now.
But here's the question. Is Baby Bay as good as those players?
Yes.
Because that's what you got to ask yourself. You got to say, are those like generational talents, like once in a lifetime playing that kind of role? Or is that just something
Based
a
on
lot
what
of
I
players
saw
can-
from the last time FaZe to qualify into this one, definitely. Because Baby Bay was doing 1080s with a Marshall on Breeze and still hitting shots. I know it's only a CD match, but it shows the confidence that this team has. So I think they do have what it takes.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring this back. Things are getting heated up right here on the analyst desk right now. Right, speaking of hype, we actually put together a very hype video, and I want to see what 100 Thieves are all about. Let's go ahead and take a look. That was fucking awesome.
Good.
We did win First Strike, and we were seen as the best team in North America.
100 Thieves, they've done it. They are your First Strike North America champions. What a performance, Sean.
I think Austin has had some of the strongest individual performances we've seen out of any player, maybe across any region.
When I saw Austin getting 48 kills on Icebox, it was the craziest thing. Just him dominating like that. 100 Thieves have probably the best duelist in the world, and I expect him to pop off in the playoffs.
People saying that I'm like a top 3 player, like top 5 or whatever. I don't really feel it because I'm just in the moment. I'm just kind of just doing my thing.
What in the SEAL Team 6 is this?
I don't put too much stock into it. I don't really try to think as much about like the consequences. I'm just doing whatever I think is best in the moment.
He's got that just raw skill. It's sort of underdeveloped. It's not quite there yet, but you see it every time he plays. Now that he's surrounded with these strong players and the roster is coming together, he can just go buck wild.
Coming from CS, we have a lot of experience. Myself, I've been playing for 13 years competitive Counter-Strike. Hiko, Nitro, they've been on the competitive stage for, since 2014 at least. Hiko longer than that. Ethan's been on a top team since like 2016 or 17. So we have a wealth of knowledge and experience coming from Counter-Strike, but that experience takes you so far in Valorant.
100 Thieves is disappointing. They get close, they have close games, but they never seem to finish. And me personally, and a lot of people out there, we think it's a strategy in the comp lineup, but at the end of the day, the matches are still very close and they're still almost making it. I'm seriously hoping that this time around they get it together because they belong on top.
I understand why the fans and even, maybe 100 Thieves as an org hasn't been the happiest with our placings and the happiest with our results, but I promise you, as bad as you think you feel for us, I promise you we feel worse. We're putting in a lot of hours, we're practicing a lot, we're hiring support staff, we're hiring analysts and assistant coaches and all these different kind of people that are helping supplement the team.
I think 100 Thieves could easily make it to Berlin. I think they're one of the best teams in North American Valorant. They've got a ton of veterans on the roster, plus some young guns like Asuna, who can help drive the performance level up if the team is starting to crumble a little bit around the edges. It's the high-pressure situations that they're going to excel at because they're used to being in those situations.
We're not just here taking it easy and just going through the motions. Like, we are grinding and we want to win, and that is our number one goal, to make it to Berlin and hopefully even win Berlin. And I think we have the possibility and the capability of doing it as long as we show up and we do our jobs and we do what we know we can do.
As they pick up the dub on Icebox 13-7 over Envy.
This is the moment that everything's been building up to, and there's no not making it.
I don't know about you guys, but watching that right there just got me so excited. 100 Thieves are looking to just take the throne back right now, and it all starts right here, right now. So let's talk about the maps right now, Van Silly. You studied both of these teams. What might we be looking at?
I think at this point, it's going to be a automatic ban for FaZe to actually take away Icebox, in my opinion. Just looking at how Trippy was talking about before, too, is like, we realized after Masters 1 that Icebox is not for us looking at Masters 2 qualifier, so that's going to be out of the question. And I think for 100 Thieves, who maybe aren't as practiced on a map like Breeze, because they're still trying to find their identity on other maps, they should auto-ban Breeze, exactly. So you're going back to the basics of Ascent, Haven, and Vine, and who's going to take this one? FaZe?
Maybe. Let's go ahead and find out what maps both of these teams are going to be battling out on, because the map ban phase is always the first part of war, right?
Yeah.
So Coming up right now, the anticipation. Haven's going to be on the board. Love watching 100 Thieves there, and of course, they're going to be the one that choose that. We're going to Breeze again, baby.
Okay.
And then the
Split.
third map,
Okay.
if needed, we're going straight to Ascent. And whoo, watching both of these teams play there and battle it out for tiebreaker map, it's going to be everything. But let's go down the line because the lobby is just about ready. Van Silly, you're going first this time. You rocking with FaZe or you rocking with 100 Thieves?
You know what? This time, Valiant Bach, I'm going to have to face up. You know,
Okay.
I love the 100 Thieves boys, but I think we're going to see a face up because I want to see some Curry Yoru on Breeze here.
That's what I'm talking about, Bach. How are you honestly feeling about this matchup? This is way closer than the last one that we saw.
You know, I was looking at this and I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the map pool coming into this for 100 Thieves is kind of iffy. They have two maps they don't really play a whole lot, Split and Bind. They get one of them out, and I was a little worried that that third map was potentially going to be Split, but because of their map pool being so weak, or I don't want to say weak, but because there's maps they don't typically play, they end up on Ascent, which is a map that's really, really good for FaZe in the most recent history. I think they're 10-2 throughout Stage 3. So that's a little bit scary. I also have to give the nod to FaZe. I think this is going to be a 2-1. If we make it to the third map, FaZe wins. If we don't, it could be a 2-0. I think it's really going to be dependent on that third map.
As Vans usually says, he just hopes both teams have fun. But it's time to take it away to the first series. Hold shift and Dust, do what you do best and take it away.
Thank you, gentlemen. Indeed, it is time for what will surely be a more tight affair than the first series. You have to feel like for sure, Dust. But hey, Haven map number 1. Both teams have been tested on it, tried on it, and well, they've showed us some pretty consistent results. Although for 100 Thieves, maybe a little bit of shakier ground because almost every single series you watch them playing this map, it usually goes the distance.
I don't know. I kind of just I think FaZe are in a lot of trouble coming into Haven, man.
Oh,
like their
okay,
results
okay.
lately have not been that great. They've lost their last couple of games, including a blowout loss to TSM. They've also had a bunch of other losses throughout. I mean, their win rate actually this year is 47% on Haven. So it has been very up and down, and a lot of their wins have been against really smaller name teams, you know, that you probably haven't even really heard of. I think they've only had like maybe one or two like big wins against like top level teams. You look at 100 Thieves, you know, since Ethan's been on board, they're more near like the 63% win rate on Haven. Yeah, they lost at their last 2 games as well, but look at all their recent losses. They lost in double overtime to Sentinels, single overtime to Exet, 11-13 to Envy, and 11-13 to Sentinels. So even when they're losing, they are right there with whoever they're competing against, and they have big wins over Envy and Version 1 and Exet and, you know, some of these other top teams in the region. So I think if you're just going on a results-based analysis, 100 Thieves does seem to be the more functional team on Haven lately. And also what we've really seen that's been neat is the Asuna Jet. That has actually been this new X Factor that has been huge. But look at the other X Factor, Sentinelist Cop Steal on KO. That is spicy.
This is brand new, fresh out the box for sure. I was about to say, you know, the other big difference that we're going to see here is Nitro will for sure be sticking largely onto this Omen. They don't like to play a lot of that Astra. So definitely interesting to see the KO brought into the mix here. So, you know, early establishment of pressure and a lot of flash potential as well, I think is the big key here for 100 Thieves on this attack.
Sure, but it kind of surprises me because Steel has been such an effective Sentinel player on this map, particularly with Cypher.
Really
I feel like he's such a good agent, like on defaults, getting his intel at the cams and stuff like that, particularly on the A side of the map, but also being really good at like finding really good aggro alert timing, things of that nature. But maybe he's found a way to implement KO very effectively. So we'll have to see. This is obviously new territory for us in that regard. The one other thing I'll say about 100 Thieves before we pivot focus to FaZe is that Ethan's been a little bit dodgy for me on Sky at times. Like, he's definitely had games where he's looked really strong on Sky, but he's also had some games where he's really gone missing with Sky. And I feel like he's kind of meant to be that other, like, really heavy hitter on this team next to Asuna and perhaps next to Nitro, who often gets regarded as one of the best controller players in the region. I think there was a time before Astra came into the fold where he was considered the best Omen for sure in North America by a lot of people around the first strike time period. So definitely they have a lot of firepower on this team, and it's pretty well balanced out, but Ethan, I think, is still kind of mastering Sky. On the flip side, it's the same basics for FaZe as always. That double duelist potency of Corey and Baby Bay, the support factor coming in with Rockus and Zachary and Baby J coming as a very comfortable Sentinel player on that Cypher. So it's business as usual for FaZe.
Yeah, sure is. There have been a couple of results where there has been a Killjoy in the mix. They've kind of maybe tried to figure out what identity they want from the Sentinel overall, but I think you're absolutely right. Like the more recent addition to Baby J, he has been locking down that role really nicely. We had a chance to kind of also talk to Baby Bay after their win from the Masters 2, or pardon me, the Challengers 2 main event. And, you know, the confidence that he said that he had in this team, it feels like everything really is starting to come together. So we'll see, because they're going to be tested in a very different way here. Just largely because of the fact that this 100 Thieves squad is going to have so much entry potential. There's going to be a lot of pressure on a player like Baby J.
Yeah, because even though Asuna hasn't played a lot of Jett yet, I think he's only played the Jett, I think maybe twice, maybe a few more times than that. I think it's only played it this last month, though, I'll say. You know, coming in, playing Jett only for the month of July after previously playing a lot of Phoenix and things of that nature. So it's definitely a big move, but so far so good, I would say. It's the one that they really felt like they needed a Jett, as they were a team that didn't really run Jett at all prior to this. So they were one of the few teams that didn't, but got away with it and were still very successful. But now they've added that, and Asuna's picked it up very well and done a great job. They do some awesome set-piece plays with Asuna on Jett, by the way, particularly on that C-bomb site on Haven. I'll try to point that out if we actually see it, but we saw it throughout the qualifier process, and they definitely had some really nifty stuff there. What I'm also curious about on the FaZe side of things is, like you said, they've been cycling through a bunch of different compositions. They've tried Breach, they've tried Reyna, they've tried all kinds of stuff, and you can tell that they've been kind of scrambling to find comfort on this map. So is this comp it?
Here's one of those flash moments where Asuna is not just going to play for B. He's going to push through this. He wants to catch off a couple of connectors. It did look like Raucus maybe was prepared for a potential contest, but it's hard to make that argument when he gets his head pulled off like he did. Spike will go down, and look at the post plant setup. They're moving all the way through over towards this A connector, but to be fair, for FaZe defensively, they're doing okay to try to battle up against it. The problem is Nitro's also lurking mid-map, and these kills just a little bit too good. Hiko even beyond that. Yeah, very clean from Hiko. 2 in a row for him to clean things up. Another the first pistol going to 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, like, is the advantage for 100 Thieves coming in this series, is they're just deeper. Like, I feel like their playbook is just going to be chock full of little plays like this where they maximize their utility. They do, like, these wacky, you know, things. Like, Steel's always been known throughout his career, dating back to Counter-Strike Source even many, many years ago as a tactician, of trying to push the boundaries, trying to, I don't want to say break the game, but try to bend it, try to figure out what designs he can come up with, what pieces of utility and what set plays he can build. And that was a really well-designed pistol.
More aggression coming through. Steel's actually able to lock down first blood. That's down towards sewers at A with the Marshall. 2 defensive members for FaZe are still possessing over towards the A site, but Aldrone will move Asuna forward, looking for aggression. Guiding light comes through, but not before Baby Bay can find the first blood. That will actually push this 100 Thieves offense completely back.
Yeah, it does, but they know that they're up against a low bot FaZe. So they know that that commitment has likely caused a massive rotation from FaZe, and they would be correct. So they can start redirecting attention now. They're making sure that their mid is clear with the Trailblazer, which they have done. They're starting to force FaZe to respect that they could be dropping back. But all FaZe has done is just recommit to reinforcing A, and they've doubled up and done a sewers push. So now they're even kind of better off to defend against attack than they were prior. So 100 Thieves kind of missed the mark here, just a little bit.
Flash will come through. Baby J not able to find the first blood. Main point of entry. Corey, though, picks up the Marshall able to find one. Nitro in the back does make sure that Baby Bay is kept honest, but does he expect Corey? Does not seem to be. Corey able to find the kill. Rock is still potential to play from the front here. Steel is low on HP. This is still very winnable. And beyond that, 100 Thieves are actually looking to rotate this Spike out. Raucus is maybe considerate of this potential play, but doesn't want to overchow, and that will at least allow a regrowth and likely behind that also a plant.
Such a crafty play from 100 Thieves, kind of realizing the situation and getting out of it, and they'll be able to take the Spike plant on to C. Like I said, they got the regrowth on the Steel, so they got him back up to speed. They still hold the superior firepower for the most part, other than Corey having a Phantom, and they're able to start setting up post plant. So this is a tough one now. Problem is, 100 Thieves don't really know where FaZe are coming from.
Yeah.
So they have to kind of stick together and hope that they can get the read, which Ethan is going to get. He spots one, able to get away. Smart.
Flash will also be there just to delay. Give off a little bit of time. And yeah, the flash actually does not fully give them the opportunity that they were looking for. So 100 Thieves again just killing off time, killing off space. FaZe moving quickly though. Ethan for one. Stays relatively healthy. Corey needs to be very cautious about how he wants to take this challenge, but also needs to isolate, and Ethan will not allow him a chance. Whoa, that's just a beautiful little kite backwards for 100 Thieves after the aggressive move to move from A to C.
That's one of the big things about 100 Thieves is just their experience levels and their communication capabilities. I mean, all throughout that round, they ran into constant trouble, right? They got times with Baby Big on their initial peek into A. They ran into like a 4-man stack. They got into like a tough 2-on-2 situation. But through that all, they kept making the next best decision they could make to keep themselves in the round and pave the way through all of the, you know, haymakers that FaZe were lobbing at them, basically. And so able to navigate to the C site, get a win, get 2-0 up. It wasn't clean by any means, but they got the job done nonetheless. And now they get to play this bonus round. Now they're going to go for the set C play. They have some beautiful set C plays with this roster.
Yeah, look for that paranoia to come through with that guiding light. There it is. This is exactly what we would expect.
He'll dash into
paranoia
the smoke.
right on the right. Yep, this is exactly what we saw. This is so wonderfully done. But to be fair, FaZe have actually backed off. So yes, they give up the site, but they don't give up any numbers, and that's actually pretty key for FaZe trying to retake with a lot of utility still to use.
Yeah, that's their response. Like, okay, you have this really cool multi-layered C set piece. We'll just let you have the site. We'll play retake. And that burns a lot of 100 Thieves' utility, right? They don't have that much now left over for the post plan. So it's really come down to positioning and fragging. They're all playing for long C, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, good fragment, though.
Yeah, this
could be a good lineup.
This could be nasty.
Yeah, you can't really
There
do
it goes. It's
anything
going to go
about
out
it.
early. Ethan flashes, wants to check, finds one. Not going to get more beyond that. Baby J for the trade. And a lot of smoke in the way here. Could potentially allow an opportunity, and Baby J actually keeps Nitro responsible. So now the entire post plan has to come through C long. And the setup is decent. Team shots coming through for FaZe. Baby J trying to lock things up. More spam shots coming through, and the retake will be successful with just barely enough time to defuse.
Yeah, again, for all the credit that we give 100 Thieves for how they layer that paranoia and the guiding light to set Asano up, to dash on top the C site box and get like that high peaking angle to really control the site. Yeah, that is a brilliant attack, and it does give you the site, but then it's about managing that post-plan scenario. And unfortunately, when Nitro gets caught here in Garage, it funnels all of it this way, and those shock darts aren't able to get over towards the spike at all. I don't think either of Hiko's shock darts landed towards the spike defusal. Yeah, the fragment came in from Steel, and that slowed down the initial progress of defusal, but they weren't able to get that follow-up they needed, and FaZe really managed that retake effectively. Like, they didn't follow the pressure, they just kind of calmly approached it and got it.
A beautiful first blood here from Baby Bay. Also reads a number of more 100 Thieves members trying to aggress onto the B side as they find themselves on pistol upgrades. But with that first blood, 100 Thieves will back away. Watching the C garage, actually, as Baby J, he completely gets up and leaves the C side. And I don't know if he really got a chance to know how many players were in front of him, but he will push them back. And what the shock dart is that?
That was so well done. You know, Corey could kind of tell that they were making that pivot. He's able to slowly back off. Shock dart comes in, does a lot of chip damage. Now Corey's spotting them crossing into the lobby area. Going to be able to take the 1v1 against Nitro. Doesn't get the frag, but able to back up with the hot hands down, stall them out. Now they're pushing to come from 100 Thieves through with the guiding light up long, and they're actually able to get into the site.
Counter curveball, though, does slow things up just a touch. And yeah, Zach has also gotten into this. And look at all the information coming through from Raucus. Yes, Nitro finds one, but that will be all that is found for 100 Thieves. Oh, man, really good stall tactics once again from FaZe. Not just on the really cheeky shock dart put into A lobby, but then the counter curveball and then just the brilliant recovery off the recon bolt to make sure that the site was never really given away.
Yeah, from this point forward, again, I'm keeping my eyes on Ethan and what he's going to be able to do on the Sky, because, again, he's had his struggles with it at times, but also has had brilliant games with Sky. So that's one thing I'm looking at. And the other thing I'm looking at is, does that Corey Baby Bay 1-2 punch come out hot? Because if it does, the support system's always going to be there to help them keep it along, you know what I mean? But if those two are feeling it, if those two are playing that assertive play style and, you know, landing the mark, they're always a nightmare to deal with.
Offensive recon bolt sent deep in through A lobby. Baby J moving up towards C long. Help here from Baby Bay.
Ooh.
We'll enunciate that because it will trip me up.
Yeah, the double babies, the baby square root is definitely.
He didn't say they. When we asked Smeeg about it, he was like, "What do we call these? Let's call him Baby Smeeg."
I don't know. I'm gonna let that. I don't think that one really hits. I think they need to go back to the R&D department and try to come up with a little bit of something else. But you know, up to them.
Fair.
As I thought Baby Square was pretty good, but you know, to each their own. As we are going to see 100 Thieves dart back over, start pressing a little bit onto A side. Zachary with the jump peek is going to spot both players there. Guiding light sent through, but no follow-up. 100 Thieves that they've been sniffed out and wants to kind of fall back. It's in the Seekers to kind of keep that A presence there, but they're also looking to get some mid control.
Good information here, though, from Corey. After he saw both the Jet and the Sky try to push their way long, he had to run it back, clears off A long. So now he can make the quick rotation back up to the teleport. Raucous mid-map, able to find one. Steel needs to still commit to this, and Baby Bay watching the opposite angle. But Ethan for the trade. Asuna there as well to follow up, and that's 2 for Asuna. Now Baby J, the only defensive member that can really still hold off for this spike plant. Still holding for it is Ethan, but Baby J's allowed to get a second, and then Zachary cleans things up from the opposite angle. Beautiful retake, and really just a full-on contest from FaZe again defensively.
Yeah, great job by FaZe getting some good information on the A side of the map based on, the ult that you were talking about and the jump peeking of Zachary. Also, just a smart play from Baby J, knowing that, he basically is going to get a 1v1 at the front of B site because the spike is being committed to plant. And so he's able just to kind of keep angling out, keep buying time for Zachary to also get into position. And then just go and take this fight with Nitro, win it, and then set up Zachary to be able to come in there and finish the job. So, great job there for Baby J, the new addition. Glad to see this man on this team. He was hunting for, long-term home for quite some time. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but what the heck. He's the only player I know of in top Valorant that comes from the console world. We have a lot of Overwatch players and Counter-Strike players and Fortnite players, all PC-based shooters. This man, a Halo player. That's a big transition.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, trying to get aggressive. The Nullify was used. Also looking to take advantage by moving forward, but Baby J denies. And Baby J, who's trying to make sure nobody pushes through the C garage window, means that he's left Corey off by his lonesome. The late rotate not going to be good. Ethan for 2. And once again, 100 Thieves have created just enough space to plant.
Indeed, they are. They're going to have a 4-on-3 post plant here. They're still going to have the one shock dart available, I should say. They have no fragment left over from Steel, so they're going to have to kind of play more on-site because they don't really have the utility to convert diffusers from the back. But yeah, this flank could be the problem.
Oh, but he doesn't actually convert into the shots. Ethan looked like he was dead to rights. Maybe a more beyond that, but does not fall. Shots will not land, and now it's up to Zachary and Raucous to decide how do you want to go into a 2v4 retake situation, and Steel may have just closed the door completely, and yeah, he sure will. 4th and 5th kills will be there, and 100 Thieves have tied us right back up at 3.
Yeah, but now they're going to have Seekers available coming into this next. They also have Nitro's ult. He's usually very crafty at figuring out the exact ways to use that and get the most out of it. Yeah, just a brilliant little fast-paced C-split. Able to all out some players. Force them that only really have guns only to defend and able to come out swinging. Big fights won by Steel there to close out the round. Now we are going to see, several ults are in play for FaZe, but again, Seekers and Nitros from the Shadows could be huge.
Seen a lot of early aggression from 100 Thieves, but it looks like they will kind of pump the brakes here a touch. And Baby Bay, that's what to say. He wants to get aggressive. The shot dart timing nearly pays out. And yeah, I was about to say, C-Long is also done and dusted. It's completely held by the Cypher.
Yeah, and this is big. This allows such more flexibility for FaZe to rotate. Raucous now trying to use his Hunter's Fury in just the right place, knowing that C had been cleared out. He could gamble it on short. He's able to get some damage in, and now Baby J's flank able to set in. Huge! That's so big.
Yeah, you have to feel like if you're Baby J and you miss out on a second opportunity for free kills, that's going to really rattle the confidence, but he converts this time, and yeah, beautiful read as well from Raucous to get the Hunter's Fury in play, dealing a lot of damage. Steel tagged up. They have to peek, and whoa, it's actually a really nifty peek from Steel. Does open up a bit of space to retract backwards and maybe open up some space towards C, but Baby Bay kind of hitting the same flank again, so this is very quickly 100 Thieves getting over towards C, but they're not going to expect the fact that you've already got this flank completely concealed.
They did spot Raucous with that knife, but yeah, like you said, that flank is still going to be a problem
30 seconds
here.
left.
Like it's going to go down, but yeah, Baby Bay just finds a perfect moment.
Asuna's only bit of safety would occur here at the garage entrance, but Baby Bay dashing forward will not allow him a chance to get away, and that will be another beautiful defense from FaZe. Again, 100 Thieves just really caught, honestly. The aggression this time from the FaZe defense just allows them a chance to isolate and find an early win.
Yeah, it's one of those things where in the past with 100 Thieves' older compositions, they kind of leave Nitro to kind of play that spot to watch for those long C pushes while really trusting a lot in, Steel's Cypher utility to be kind of what they need to create presence on A side and not intel there. And they would kind of play from that platform, whether that be, like slower rounds or whether that be like kind of pivot pretty quickly into some type of faster pace hit in garage or something like that, letting Asuna be the tip of the spear. But now you see them like kind of putting focuses elsewhere, and so there's these little vulnerabilities that FaZe are, using their aggression to try to exploit. And you can see the adjustment. This round they are going to have Nitro kind of keeping tabs on that C side again, and just kind of making sure that they're not allowing FaZe to kind of cheat a flank early.
Responsibility here from Steel. He's going to be tagged by the Recon. Easy first elimination, but Ethan still holding on. Nearly gets a second look. That would have been big. Baby Bay down to 10 HP, but the gunfight does turn out in favor of FaZe, who now enjoy a 4v3.
Yeah, and Baby J still has, tabs completely covered on the C side of the map, so they're not too worried about that. He is going to go ahead and spot, and he'll play off of it. Asuna tapped out. Great play from Baby J. That's to give them now a 4-on-2. They're getting slowed down here. Nitro Company trying to get into C side and still get a spike plant, but in a 2-on-4, it's going to be so tough to stop FaZe from moving around ahead and stopping 100 Thieves from tying this thing up.
But Nitro does have a paranoia. Aldrone still available for Hiko, so the tools are there. And they could stay alive through this. There goes the paranoia. Cosmic Divide coming into play. Hiko finds one. That was a completely isolated pick. Nitro holding inside this dark cover. Backs away. Gravity well now forced. Hiko for a second. Hiko for a third. 1v1. Bang! Hiko for 4. And 100 Thieves survive a 2v4.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, that's just so uncanny. You always think that maybe it's over, but then you realize, wait a second, Hiko's still alive on the server, and this is the environment he thrives in. He had Nitro to help him as well, but such a big clutch from Hiko, and that's a big round for 100 Thieves because they were looking out of that pretty much the whole way through. They lost the long A exchange early in the round based on FaZe getting a lot out of their aggression, who traded 2 for 1. And then Hiko still pulls that off. That is incredible.
I've got your
It's uncanny how often he does it.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, and that is been his trademark since like 2013 CS:GO.
Yep. Stinger in hand for Baby Bay, able to find one quickly, but again, Hiko actually going to find 2 with the Hunter's Fury. Ethan for the 3rd in the mix. Nitro will find Tally the 4th. And blink it, and you'll miss the round. Zach 1v4. Spike going to be planted, and well, Zach does have a little bit of space here. Maybe an opportunity to catch 1 or 2 off guard. There's the first. Does he expect the second? Maybe, but Hiko going to find now a 3rd in this round, and wow, that is unbelievable from 100 Thieves to kind of quickly change the pace again.
Exactly. The pacing change is big. I mean, 100 Thieves is definitely a team that prides itself on being more calculated, relying on their more experienced players, and playing like a more methodical approach to the game, whether that be just slower defaults, or whether that be some type of more calculated, layered set piece. But you have rounds like that where they can just put the pedal to the metal, let Asuna lead the way, and just do some of these faster splits to catch their opponents off guard with, because you never know when that pacing change is going to happen. And now they've allowed themselves, based on that pacing change and a Hiko clutch, to get FaZe onto a low buy and have a chance to start extending a lead here.
Aggression through mid-grass.
Get out of my way.
Ethan in the window. Oh, that's easy. Baby Bay looking to respond, though. Well found with the Blade Storm. So now a lot of forward position gained here for FaZe, plus a weapon. That's the big key.
And a neural theft as well from Baby J to get some intel. Knows that his C push has come in. Steel able to get the frag, but Baby J able to keep things afloat. It's a 3-on-3. There's still a chance here for FaZe. They have a couple of weapons in hand.
And Asuna did go to the Blade, so he's only got a Ghost as a secondary option. Late Aldrone coming through. We'll scout out some information on what's coming through C Garage. Raucus playing deep through spawn. Hiko continuing to throw a shoulder. FaZe need to set something up with the time, and Asuna has shut down one side of this play already. Spams through the side brigade. It's Hiko who finds the kill, just down to Zach. 1v3, 100 Thieves on the retreat through long, but do they line up? Zach for 2. He nearly gets a 3rd. That was a dangerous rotation, but Nitro saves the round, and it's 100 Thieves on 6.
Imagine that's the way it ends, man. All the good things 100 Thieves did in that round to, steer around the neural theft and all the daggers that FaZe are trying to throw in their plans with their mid-aggression and picking up a couple of rifles and making it interesting, and almost got lined up there by Zach. But Nitro able to stop that from going through, gets 100 Thieves a 6th round. We got 2 more left to go in the half. Back onto a bye will be FaZe. They also have a couple of ults in play, including a run it back for Corey. Let's see how it plays out.
Aggressive through sewers for the first time goes Asuna. Spike is not a part of this play, though, so just a bit of forward positioning. Ethan making sure that there is no Aldrone to scout him out, but also the run it back was spent, so that will be Asuna deleting it, and beyond that, pretty much having to back away. Yeah.
Just not letting it have any impact. That is such a brilliant move there by 100 Thieves to make sure that they kind of don't have to worry about that stressor anymore. That's off the table. They can just kind of focus up on playing a more standard round. And look at this timing. Baby Bay allows Steel to slip in, and that's why Steel is such a good player. He's so good at finding these little timings.
Wait, do they know that Baby Bay is here? He's going to find the first elimination. Gets a little bit caught up on the doorway inside the dark cover, and then the gravity well behind that also delays Nitro just a touch. So
Spike planted.
it was looking a bit dire for a moment, but First Blood still does get capitalized. And now it's 100 Thieves, 4v5, post-plant setup. Nitro goes high, Steel plays back low. Two more players holding on to mid. Cosmic Divide's going to come through to split up this offensive post-plant, forcing everybody to play from inside the site. Recon bolt in. Nitro, how much does he see? Maybe a lot, as Ethan's able to take advantage, but it is even trades so far. 3v2 situation. Rocket's on 1 HP. Steel falls. Now it's just down to Hiko. He's done it before. Can he do it again? Shock Dart comes through. Still has an outlook. He wants it. Peaks finds one, but Baby Bay there to deny anything further, and FaZe able to keep it within 1 round.
Yeah, so tough because I thought Steel had really done it by sneaking around the site and getting to the back of it and clearing it and giving 100 Thieves a lot of free space with really nothing spent to get it. But yeah, they just didn't know Baby Bay was still holding this angle, was able to get his kill and get away, and then play the retake, right? Cosmic Divide basically making mid a non-factor, forcing 100 Thieves to play more on site, and then kind of using that with their Astra utility to really just kind of get in there and slice and dice the remaining members of 100 Thieves. Not much he could do there with the Astral Wall down. He had to just kind of gamble it. And so FaZe will get the 5 and working towards this tie. And this has been exactly what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Banger.
Also
Lots of back and forth.
Yeah. Credit to Raucus as well. You kind of saw from the overhead perspective.
Oh.
He finds a high-low setup and a little bit of toe tagging going on here. Baby Bay taken down to 34 HP, so small health advantage for 100 Thieves, but not much else to speak of.
Yeah, they're able to keep Nitro stuck in the closet position, so they still have presence at Long C. They're starting to threaten the garage as well. They also still have Steel playing over here outside of A, so they have pretty good posturing all across the map, but still have yet to really show their hand. Meanwhile, we do have FaZe kind of keeping tabs with their operator on both Long and Garage Hallway. They still have 1 player on A, and they're basically playing retake A and B.
Dangerous situation here. Yeah, Baby J was trying to see if maybe that Nitro was still holding over towards the C cubby. Assistance from Baby Bay to try to check the angle, but no escape. And as the Seekers came out, Baby J will fall for first blood. So now all of a sudden, you've got 100 Thieves with numbers as they actually hit over towards the opposite side. They're here at A. Zach is the only defensive member that is here, but he might get to catch one for free and does. So Nitro will fall. Steel not going to fully quit the plant initially, but we'll double check it and tries to push through the fragment. Not going to happen. A bit puzzling to be sure.
That doesn't seem required when you still had a 4-on-4. Just let them plant, work out the retake together. Taking his life away. I don't know that I can agree with that one. And now Ethan and company making them pay for it. Ethan up to 4. Could ace here if he can find Corey. He's going to find Corey, that's for sure. That Trailblazer's right there waiting. Hi there, buddy.
Just delaying.
No charges left.
Curveball goes out. Not much that can happen here. You have to still go for it naturally. Last round of the half. But time is a big problem. If the 1v3 wasn't, it's almost like a 1v4 trying to play against the clock. Corey will find 1 and a second. Goodness, if he would have done this maybe 3 seconds sooner, nearly gets 1 more, but not gonna happen. So Dust, it's a 7-5 back and forth affair, but 100 Thieves narrow advantage.
Yeah, that was a head scratcher of a last round. That jumping out from A Heaven, I don't know about that one. I didn't actually catch the clock. I don't know if maybe he would have stopped the spike plant if he would have won off the timer or something. Maybe that's what he was thinking of, but I didn't catch the clock, so I'm not sure how much time was left, honestly. So we'll let that one go. I'll just say it was kind of odd, especially in that intensive a round, but to each their own, a very close one, and I can't wait to see the rest of it play out, but I guess we have to take a break first, Shift. Hate to see it, but we'll be back in just a second.
Back into the mix. It's a 7-5 first half for 100 Thieves. We swap the sides around, and it will now be up to FaZe to try to put together an offense. Close to fair, though, largely speaking, though, Dustin, that first half.
Yeah, certainly some back and forth moments for sure. 100 Thieves just edge out, really based on that final round, honestly. That final little 4-on-4 post plant with Zachary's jumping out of heaven into Doom. That whole, whatever you want to call it, situation was a very costly one. As Asuna tries to get aggressive. Oh, and he gets it later, Baby J. Holy cow. How's that happen?
That's going to feel bad for Baby J. It's another kind of free kill that he misses out on. Corey curveballing in, but Nitro! Headshots locked in as he finds 2, and that is the majority of the push from FaZe Clan. They are still trying to force this one in, and they have gained space to get Raucus in position for a plant, but this is a 2v5 that even Hiko wants to try to contest sooner rather than later. Zach trying to gatekeep over through the link, but the long flank from Ethan is on the way, and it looks like 100 Thieves are just going to wait for that before they go.
I mean, this round has just been like an open and shut case for 100 Thieves. It feels like Raucus and Zachary are going to try to see anything here. And I mean, I guess they get 1. That's cool.
And a plant?
Yeah, not bad. That's what you're going for. But I mean, it's just start to finish. 100 Thieves in control. That push through long C. That punish on the Baby J, that instant man advantage, and then like you said, Nitro teeing up a few himself. Brilliantly done.
That's gonna feel bad. That's Baby J. I mean, that's the whole position is he has to go 1-for-1 at least. It's really tough.
This is a chance for 100 Thieves to really extend that lead. They will be on the buy up here, and, well, there's Asuna. Again, you'll see him opping as well defensively with this Jet.
Yep.
And he is actually pretty darn good in the games I watch. So, you can go toe-to-toe with the best of them on the Jet op. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Asuna's definitely been one of the best duelists in the region for quite some time. Definitely one of the most fearless. You really can kind of match Baby Bay in that regard.
Oh, for sure.
He is a student of this meeting.
Maybe an adjunct professor as well.
Yeah.
Spam down from Steel. Able to find 1. Asuna continues to try to poke away, but does get pushed back eventually. Still, though, numbers very heavily favoring the defense of 100 Thieves, and still it's really just on Zach to try to hit some shots with this Marshall. Everything else is just pistols. Ethan will take away Baby J, so now it is just a 2v5, and FaZe have gained no ground to work with really whatsoever.
This is looking like just a formality at this point, that we will see Raucus trying to get the spike into A side. Maybe try to get a little something out of it, but Pico, of course, will stand firm, cutting them off at the pass. It's getting pushed back, though, by a little bit of Astro utility as well as some damage being taken. So they will get into the site, and they will actually get the spike down, and they actually get Pico off the board. So 2-on-4, post plant, Steel on low HP. I mean, it's going to be a miracle, but there's a couple of factors out there maybe giving them a chance.
Zach only has 7 shots left, just in case things do start to get off the ground for this retake to grow some legs. Steel making his way forward, dark cover to block off Sewer. Plus also, looks to be a 0 point in the mix. Asuna has just hard scoped this angle all the way through. Zach seems to think about this could be a play, but Asuna able to find 1. Just down to Rock, just tactic with the reload. Steel sticking for the defuse, and Nitro takes away the ability to treat Chow. And 100 Thieves does expect to take the follow-up round and gives them a little bit of breathing space here. Up 4. First big cushion we've seen so far in the back.
Yeah, this is the most separation I feel like we've seen for sure. So, bonus round coming up here for 100 Thieves. A chance for FaZe to strike with the early firepower, perhaps. Rifles all the way down the line. You are going to see really nothing being picked up here by 100 Thieves, as you'd expect. They'll stick with the Marshall, they'll stick with the Ares, as well as a couple of Spectres. Still can certainly make use of those weapons. Kind of curious to see Asa looking to take his Marshall this time at long A, so constantly repositioning that sniper. Makes sense. That's what you want to do with a Jet. Be dynamic.
Attack from Asuna.
Shock dart. Ooh, so close to finishing the job.
Asuna underneath pressure, though. FaZe is really amounting a hit, and they have found the 2 kills required to get on in. So that should lead to a plant. Defensively speaking, it's really just Steel who is going to be here, but he's already tagged down to 29 HP. Ethan's nearby. He has a lot of utility to play with, and it looks like if there were to be a retake attempt, it might have to be based off Nitro coming from behind, but there's a trap wire in his way.
Yeah, that is definitely going to put a foil in those plans. That is for certain. You can see that In fact, Ethan was trying to come with him, and he does spot it, shoots it, alerts them to his presence. Trying to still lay down some utility, see if they still can't find a way, and they might flash through that smoke and try to use that to get in here, but BabyBay's going to play inside of it.
Just looking for exit at this point.
Yep.
Steel hasn't seen anything. And FaZe steals Nitro. Only other player to deal with would be just Ethan. Flash comes through. He will find one. Opportunity for more, but BabyJ will put down the hopes of that. So another clean round coming through, but this time on FaZe's offense. Good take.
Yeah, indeed it was. Able to handle some of that aggression early on at A. You know, yeah, they got tagged by Asuna's Marshall, taking a little bit of chip damage here and there, but still able to trounce them with their superior firepower. Locking that one up, keeping it within 3. But now here comes the full buyout from 100 Thieves, including an operator in play for Asuna. It's also 1 away from daggers. So definitely could pack a big wallop here. So looking to go for that quick sewers play. And there's definitely a big A focus early on here from FaZe. So this could be some fireworks early in this round.
Gravity Well will stall any potential early peek through sewer. So Asuna will hold his ground there. Steel in support, same position. And then the peek. There's the first. Dashes away, no problem.
Yep. He's got reinforcements as well. He go up towards Heaven Steel here with him and Sewers to kind of give him a little bit of a bodyguard to help him get out. He pulls his daggers out, lands a nice one on the BabyBay right between the eyes and keeps 100 Thieves a man ahead.
Corey did snap back though. Spike has been collected, and I don't know if anyone knows that Steel is still playing inside of sewer here.
Probably not. I don't think he was ever on it. And that could be a huge X factor if he does get a kill on the Rockets. Corey, though, what a response.
Spike down A.
Needs to find more than that, though, and not going to be able to. Yeah, it really is just the concealment of Steel largely through sewer. Just kind of picks the right timing. Good help from the front to turn a utility focus to make sure FaZe are so worried about the retake from really not just Heaven, but also the Link. Gives Steel an opportunity, and he takes advantage.
Indeed he does, and that's back to saving for FaZe, most likely. We do see a Marshall out, actually, for Zachary, and there's a little bit of money there for Corey as well to maybe get a Vandal. Indeed he does, so they can piece together a little bit of something. Actually, going to kind of let Corey and maybe one other player kind of be more of a raid boss situation. Maybe he's going to go with the Stinger, which if he can get up close and personal with the dash, it can still be very valuable.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to look to just pounce, maybe a little bit of a mid-to-C split. Again, we know the FaZe aggressive play style. Love these fast set pieces in the late rounds. But Asuna's here.
Don't double peek him. So first blood good, 0 point to clear out C Garage, and the only player not really tallied would be BabyBay trying to open up space, but denied by Nitro. And the hopes of this Thrifty really just squandered from the beginning.
Yep, Asuna getting that early pick, not really allowing them to get through, and they needed to start launching up long C and try to get that Stinger in the close range position. Of course, there wasn't too much investment from FaZe into this, so they can still get a full buy next round, so that's the one good sign, but you feel like that's kind of their last chance, right?
Yeah.
If they lose that, 100 Thieves is likely finding pretty early access to map point, and you're probably forced buying the rest of the game. You're going to wind up with suboptimal buys, you know, all the way forward, so next round is a very big moment for FaZe. As close as the first half was, as back and forth as it seemed to be, 100 Thieves got just what they needed to get some separation at the end of the half, and now they've come out in the second half, and they've done a very good job.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Response needs to come through next round for FaZe. Be fine if you could maybe tally up another kill or two here. And how about it? Zach will find one. They know Nitro's nearby. Paranoia will come out. Flash as well. Nebula almost creating enough of a deterrence. Not going to happen though. Then Asuna, you would have thought a free pick right there, but Raka stays alive through what looked to be a connection. Has a chance to maybe find one more with the pistol, but Nitro able to make sure that that does not unfold, and that will be 11 now for 100 Thieves. And yeah, this next round must win coming up for FaZe.
Yeah, and they have all the tools to do it, right? They're going to have their full buy. They're going to have to run it back on Corey. They're going to be able to use that to either just like push into long C, hot and heavy, use it to maybe get some garage, whatever the case may be. It looks like they're loading up long C. And again, this is FaZe's special, right? This is the #1 combo deal at the drive-thru. It's the we're going to run it down your throat with double duelist and alts. Here we go.
Is that what the #1 combo meal looks like at Haven? The drive-thru window?
That's the only thing on the menu.
Trailblazer stops any initial push. All drone to counter. 0 point also in the mix. A lot of information gained right there defensively. Oh my.
They know FaZe now realizes, okay, we can't run that play anymore. Like they know, they're ready. So they're going to just pivot back to A and try to do the same thing. And Asuna's going to be here to maybe get a pick and dash away. That's no run it back left.
And a second for Austin. Oh my goodness.
You know
That's
what?
the problem.
Here's the thing. Maybe Bay's sad because he got killed, but you know, like, there's also a slight smirk of, yeah, that's a Smeeg. There he is. You know, like there's got to be like a little respect there.
Steel watching over the mid cross. The only opportunity for FaZe to work for a plant would be here at B, but I mean, you see Ethan on the opposite side kind of watching almost the exact same angle. They line up, but the team shots are good. Zach considering a plant, wants to reposition. Hiko makes sure that no plant will be allowed, at least not initially. Hunter's Fury spent in the cause. And honestly, FaZe have survived through this pretty nicely.
Yeah, not bad. Considering how the round started, they actually have a plant. They have a 3-on-4. Zachary is low on health, so is Baby J. And they're still a man down, it's all said and done. They still have a couple of ults, though. A neural depth could come into play here. If they can get a pick. Can help them maybe make something happen, but they're pretty bottled in here.
Zach pushing under the nebula, but he's been reached it. But Baby J from the gong, not able to find a double. Could have been massive to try to secure the round, but now Raucus needs to hold things up. Trying to hold on to Hunter's Fury for as long as humanly possible. Hiko pushing. Damage will be confirmed, but Raucus, he gets caught. Trying to go immediately to the shock dart to deny the defuse. Hiko punishes, and with that, 100 Thieves on map point.
Yeah, it's just tough. 100 Thieves is having the edge, able to clear out. Baby J never allowed the neural theft to pop off.
Match point.
And when Raucus is stuck in a 1v3 like that, there's only so much you can do with the Hunter's Fury. You don't really have the follow-up you need. You can get pushed in midway through. It's just tough to time that out at that point when you're left alone. But this is just such a beautiful sequence here from Asuna. Again, the Jet opping, pretty new to him. He's played virtually every other duelist at some point in his career.
For real.
Jet was the one that he hadn't really latched onto, but the team had found a need, and he was able to live up to it. And he's been doing that all stage long, honestly. It's been one of the, I wouldn't say surprising, because, like, you know, I expect Asuna to always be a very capable player, but the Jet mechanics and being an opper are certainly different than really any other agent you're going to play in the duelist category. Like, yeah, there's some advanced movement mechanics you have to learn with Raze, with the satchel charges and stuff like that, but the responsibility that a Jet has to perform is really high. And then again, moving into an operating position, you know, yeah, if you have good aim, you have good aim, and defensive opping's a little easier to do than attacking opping, but still, I think it's impressive that he went from, you know, being that, what a lot of other teams have like as their secondary duelist, right? Because they have a primary Jet and then maybe a secondary duelist. Now he's just like, nah, I can take up the Jet. I can do this.
Yeah.
And it allows the rest of the team to like build compositions around that and still keep that heavy utility comp rather than having to run double duelist, you know?
I was just about to bring that point up. Like, it says a lot about not just the trust that the team has in Asuna, but also beyond that, it just gives them so much variety into what they can bring to the table. Like we see, like, against Steel, first time we've seen him playing this KO here. Asuna going to be tested again in Baby Pay. Denied once more. And if there was a smirk last round, it's surely turned into a frown now, as this is now a 5v4, 100 Thieves looking to lock up map one.
It's like a master being proud of his student, but he's still mad he got beat. You know what I mean?
In the worst way possible. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you use here? I mean, you have to trust that Corey can find something. You would have to feel like with run it back.
I mean, I don't have the numbers, but I feel like Asuna has gotten every opening hit on
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Other than the round where he was still other than the Marshall bonus round, probably.
Marshall, yeah. Well, Corey did try to make the run it back play. Asuna, oh my goodness! Deals with the first iteration of the Blaze and then finds one more behind it. Oh boy. Now a 5v3. Raucus gonna be revealed and Steel a couple of spam shots just to be sure. Now the peek. Not gonna be denied by Raucus. Steel looks for the reload and maybe even finds an opportunity for Zach, but the trade will be there. Underneath 30 seconds we go though. And this is the last hope for FaZe. They have to make this play through Sea Garage, and wouldn't you know it, all of 100 Thieves are here pretty much ready for it. Cosmic Divide will try to provide a line in the sand. Corey looking to play an opposite angle, but you've got to find success no matter what you do here, and Ethan will not allow Nitro as well. 100 Thieves, near perfection on the back half. 13-6 in map one after a very back-and-forth affair when we were on the opposite sides.
Yeah, only one round for FaZe in that second half. 100 Thieves absolutely dominated defensively. Asuna, a big part of that. Early aggression on pistol round at long C to kick off the half. Constantly getting opening pits with the operator throughout every gun round that they had once he was able to afford it. not just single picks, but doubles. You know, getting away with 2 before having to get out of dodge. That is just too high of a level of efficiency to allow happen if you're FaZe. Got to be able to, you know, trade back, and they just couldn't. Asuna, again, showing you that strength, and now it's like, what can the guy not do? I mean, it feels like he's really just proven his worth in so many ways. He's already very valuable. He's just added another accolade.
Unbelievable stuff. So 100 Thieves able to strike first. We'll step away, let the desk come back to break down the action and set up map number 2. Don't go far. More of 100 Thieves in FaZe coming up after this.
It's Marshall and it's TENZ.
Warren, this is where Reynas are bred. One more to get. Now the duelist is starting to come through. Not quite there to help out. Now the swing's starting to come through. Whippy just trying to provide some additional ankle.
Welcome back to the VCT NA Analyst Desk, and I'm going to be your host, Veli. Breaking things down, my boys Bach and Vancillion. What we just saw right here on Haven between 100 Thieves and also FaZe, it was kind of like a seesaw battle in the beginning, and then ultimately 100 Thieves put out on top.
No, definitely. I think one thing that's interesting is, yes, 100 Thieves brought out here, triple initiator, no Sentinel. What's going to happen here, right? So what I did like at least is like, okay, how can FaZe actually try to take control of this? They tried to push a little bit more aggressively here on the attack for a couple of rounds, but then after that, it just turns out that they triple initiate to get information just works out very well for 100 Thieves. But also, sorry, Bach, but when you look at them on defense, it's all about, okay, well, get information first. What happens after? You're playing for retakes, you're playing for trades. Pop flash off of Sky, pop flash off of KO, take a retake off of Paranoia. Like, everything looks
so
really
valuable
good
for information.
Exactly.
But the craziest thing was, I was expecting this to be a little bit more difficult for 100 Thieves because they don't have a Sentinel. And traditionally, this is a map that requires that Sentinel role because of the fact that there are 3 bomb sites. You're going to have one site be weaker. That's just the nature of the beast. But they made it work, and a large part of that initially was some aggression. I liked early on in the pistol round of the second half, you saw Steel. He throws his knife so they can push down long C, and they get a free kill on Baby J, who was hoping the tripwire was going to help him out, but it doesn't because the tripwire doesn't work after the knife comes through. So it's like some creative use of that KO utility to put them in great positions where they don't miss the Sentinel.
And shout out to Steel to bring up my stonks here for KO.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Baby J as well. I love watching him play on FaZe. But as you see, ultimately, it's 100 Thieves pulling out the win 13-6.
Yeah.
Just raising the bar when it came to the second half. But let's talk about it for a second. In the first half, Bach, I'm not going to lie. I love the jet-on-jet action. I was looking at Baby Bay popping off, and I said, he's on. His aim is so crisp right now. But then all of a sudden, Asuna steps in. I remember the 2K of swords with the op. He wasn't missing.
But here's the funny thing. When you look at the statistics, the game doesn't look like it was that good for either player.
No.
Baby Bay ends up finishing 11-14 with 191 ACS. Now, Asuna definitely does a little bit more, 249 ACS, 16-15. But the stat line you don't see here is 7 first bloods for Asuna. Now, sure, 5 deaths as well. So 5 first deaths. That means 12 rounds out of the 19 they played, he was taking that first fight. That's 63% of the rounds. So 63% of the time, Asuna is going to take the fight to your doorstep. That's high risk, high reward. That's the nature of being an entry.
The thing is, for me, guys, it's actually more FaZe's fault for that, though, because Asuna didn't have to do any flash kills at all. He was just posted there with an operator,
right.
Boom, easy kill. Because why? You're playing Corey on a Phoenix, so you have to be ready for the curveballs to get in. But if you're posted deep in like sewers and you're trying to run in just body peek, it's just easy kills every time. So for him, for Asuna, like the amount of first bloods that I saw was like, bam, kill, dash away, kill, dash away. So what does FaZe have? You need more utility to push him away.
So would you say that's an instance where you would rather see a Sky over a Phoenix? I think we're seeing a lot of teams start leaning in that direction where you have that flexibility with the Sky where you can kind of play it as a duelist. It's not perfect, but it works. I mean, you could maybe even say that KO could be that person with the flashes. But for me, I agree. Phoenix is kind of feeling like he's being phased out slowly, no pun intended, simply because of the fact that you have to get so close to make those flashes useful.
Now, map 1 is over, and let's take a look at what is ahead of us right now. We're going to Breeze once again, and I'm excited to see the meta really get fleshed out on that map. And then after that is going to be Ascent. But speaking about Breeze, the thoughts on what we saw last series and what's expected now, which team do you think is going to benefit the most with their playstyle, Vancillion?
What I like, again, is to see Corey on this Yoru. He's done some good stuff, but where I actually give a lot of commendation for FaZe, especially in Masters 2, is how they were able to lock down a player, for example, a star player like TENZ, when they were playing against them, like FaZe against Sentinels. So how does that work? They play utility to try to push him away. I did not see it on Haven, so I hope to see this at least on Breeze. You get more utility on the side of FaZe to push or aggress against Asuna to win these first blood duels.
Now, Bach, do you think FaZe can bring it back? Like I said before, they looked hot first half on Haven, man, and then they just fell flat. What do you think is ahead of them here?
I don't know. See, you're loving the Yoru. I'm worried. I'm personally concerned about the Yoru. I question its viability at a pro level.
It's an experiment kind of right now, right?
Yeah, it's a bad time to do that. Like, it's not the right time to theory craft and get into that like meta development. But at the same point in time, you work with what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I'd say, looking at the two teams, I don't really give either one an inherent advantage on the map. I think that ultimately this is going to come down to I think the agent compositions, and I think looking at 100 Thieves playing Sky over Yoru, I feel like that's going to make more sense. I also think the fact that they're not playing a Cypher, whereas we've seen that from FaZe, I don't love Cypher on this map. I know we disagree on that, but I personally just am not feeling that as a general agent that is really strong on the map. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning in 100 Thieves' direction. I think it's going to play to their advantage, but I think it's going to be a closer game than the last one because of the fact that that's really the only separator for me.
Now with the talk about Yoru and the speculation here on the desk, we don't know what's up to come next here on Breeze, but we're going to see if FaZe can battle it back to tie the odds against 100 Thieves. So Des and Hold Shift, take it away.
So much, gents. Well, I know Vansili, you mentioned it, but let's be honest, any MC Hammer fan will know when there's a big but, there comes an honest truth behind it. And you cannot lie. And that Yoru very well could pay the difference maker. You know, it's one of those things that the X factor could be established by it, but at the same point, it also could be a crumbling factor if you don't find efficiencies. So, I don't know, Dust, any thoughts on the Yoru overall if we do see it?
Just a disclaimer that the opinions of I Hold Shift did not reflect that of me. Or anyone else here for that matter when it comes to
what, MC Hammer?
Yeah, so just, I just wanted to put that one out there just in case that any cringe alert gets put on that I had no say in that whatsoever. But we are going to see the double duelist composition come out of FaZe for sure. This is the same exact comp that they've been running recently. Both teams have only played this game about 3 times. Granted, FaZe's games have come up against all other fellow top 10 teams in the region, whereas one of these have had a couple of wins over some smaller name teams. Their only big game was against Sentinels, which is a loss. So I'm going to put it this way. I think the sample size is way too small to really know anything at all about how good these teams really are on this map. And to go even further, we still don't even know what the ideal composition is for this map. So I really hesitate to hedge bets or, analyze too harshly or heavily anything that happens here. Nor do I really know who comes in as a favorite, in my opinion, because I think there's just too much variability right now with this map. And, obviously, FaZe obviously have something that they like running. Like, they find this is a map. And I will say this, with all the flack that Yoru catches, I feel like this is the one map you can utilize him. It's so large. And because it's so large, I feel like he can get the most out of his teleports and things of that nature, as well as his ult. So I actually think that, this is a map that Yoru actually can maybe thrive a little bit. We have seen some of it on Bind, I feel like, because of the teleporters, and you can kind of game that a little bit with Yoru, but I feel like with the vast size of this map, I think you could definitely do some cool things with Yoru. But, that's something that 100 Thieves may have scouted, watching some of FaZe's games and seeing how they're using Yoru on the map. Maybe they have something prepared for it, right? And yeah, I'm kind of curious to see if 100 Thieves make any comp changes. They made a huge one there on Haven, bringing in the KO for Cypher. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do coming into this. If they're going to make any fellow changes. This is a map where we have seen Ethan be able to play the Sage, which is the agent I feel like he grasped onto best, making his transition to Valorant. And Steel picks up the Sky to kind of help that along. So I'm curious to see if they maintain that or if they're going to do something else entirely. So that's going to be interesting to see. Because, again, we haven't seen enough to know what these teams like. And, yeah, I'm curious.
I think for me, the big question, and I'm glad that Vansili had brought this up about the Haven play, is that FaZe did not have a lot of success utilizing flashes or utility to push back 100 Thieves off of set angles. And now you're kind of looking at the flashes from Euro have to be that almost in a way, because you're still going without the Sky. You have the Viper that can maybe pull some ability off either by snake bites or through poison clouds, whatever it happens to be, but you're relying on a lot that these blind sides are going to hit. So it almost feels like a lot of resiliency and reliancy is actually coming off of what this Euro brings to the table. So I don't mean to put a lot of weight on Corey's shoulders, but I think there is a lot to kind of keep in mind as we're watching these executes come through, especially when FaZe find themselves on offense.
If you're going to play a tricky agent like that, you have to cash in on it, right? Like, you have to be able to make sure it has impact if you're going to, spend a pick on an agent like that. So I can kind of side with you in that degree. I think the other thing that's going to be interesting here is that, 100 Thieves is one of those teams that have elected to go double controller on this map. Several other teams out there are relying strictly on Viper to be the solo because it's so big, so much wide spacing that, it feels like Viper's utility is kind of the most cost-efficient way to block some sight lines and give you some access. But if you do double controller, it means that you can constantly keep spinning Viper utility one direction and mask what you're doing. Like if you're on the attacking side, you can keep throwing that Viper wall down on A, sure. But if you ever decide that you want to, get some more comfortable mid control by like smoking off like window and smoking off towards B tunnel or the case may be, you still have that option because you also have the Omen that can provide that for you while you're using your Viper utility elsewhere. So you're not going to be A, as telegraphed, and B, you're just going to be able to be more diverse on like what type of map control plays you're going for. So I actually like double controller on a map like this, and 100 Thieves is one of those teams that so far have been showing the willingness to do that, where other teams have really just relied on the Viper, similar to what teams like to do on Icebox. So that'll be something to watch.
Yeah, I think as well, just to kind of look at, just in the immediate past that we just had, looking at Rise trying to pull off the Sage with the Viper in this previous iteration of Breeze. The one thing that is not going to be there for Rise that is going to be there here for 100 Thieves is the ability to have that paranoia in play, right? Because they were still running the Astra. That paranoia, we know that 100 Thieves love to use that to kind of clear off one side of a site. We see them use that on maps like Haven. We should expect to see them do things like that when they're on the offense, trying to execute over towards B, or even kind of synergizing it with that wall over towards A to get extra clearance. That was something that Rise was missing, that we think 100 Thieves should have their bases covered just because of that little agent switch up.
Yeah, the other interesting thing is that, 100 Thieves were another one of those teams that were not playing a Sova on this map, which has its pros and cons. Yes, you can gain information with Sky using the Trailblazer and using the Guiding Lights. Yeah, there's definitely some of that going on. But yeah, there's so many wide open spaces that the Owl Drone definitely has a lot of room to flourish and be able to get you what you want. So that is something that you're sacrificing by not having that in play. But again, the reason why you're making that sacrifice is that double controller, which is going to give you a lot of ability. So Ethan will play Sky. So this means that Steel's going to do something different. And I'm kind of curious what that's going to be. Like, are they going to play a Sentinel now? Because that's what Steel's kind of known for. Are they going to go KO again and do double Initiator? I'm really curious about that. Now, Austin will not be playing on this map. He'll be playing one of his other mini different duelists that he likes to play. It'll be Reyna most likely coming up. Hiko on Viper is probably going to happen. So I'm just curious about Steel. That's what I'm curious about. Like, what is he going to go? Looks like he is maybe going to pick up a Cypher. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that is the change for them. This is the first time they've run the comp this way.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a lineup here as far as what we've got. Yeah, the no Sage is the big kind of key. So when you talk about the Cypher in the mix instead of the Sage, you may lose a little bit of that offensive pressure just to be able to get that barrier orb in place. But beyond that, you kind of feel like defensively, they don't really lose nor gain anything. It's just a different setup as far as how you want to interact with Steel and kind of Hiko behind him or, next to him, depending on how they want to set up their defensive bomb sites.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, just a little bit of a tweak there for one of these to get the Cypher out. Obviously, Cypher can still be great for, watching flanks or, having some type of anchoring capability defensively. So I could see why Steel would want to go for something that he's just comfortable with. Maybe he wasn't liking playing Sky. Maybe they're wanting Ethan to be that more full-time Sky for the team to kind of get him that fluency across the map pool when they want to use that agent and just kind of help him just keep learning how to use that agent and be that secondary, like, flex duelist type of guy.
Right.
So I can kind of see it from both ways. I do wonder a lot about not having a Sova on this map, but again, I think it's still so early days that it's hard to know, like, what's optimal and what's worth sacrificing and what isn't. Again, the obvious curiosity will always be how much value can Corey get out of Yoru on this map because it's such a off-meta pick, so to speak. So that's obviously going to be a fun factor to watch. But, yeah, outside of that, again, I think that we come into this, very shrouded. Like, we don't really know what to expect.
Right. And again, like, just because we mentioned it from before, I think it is important to establish that the sample size, at least in this stage, has been 3. And a lot of those, when it comes down to watching these teams play on Breeze, has been in the open qualifier stage where, like, for instance, for 100 Thieves, they played it up against Lazarus, was the most notable team that they had played up against outside of playing Sentinels in the lower final. So I don't know. It's one of those things that even what we knew from before, you kind of take, all right, a kind of very at a glance look as far as what is successful versus what is not, because there is still a lot of figuring out going on, and that's one of those things that I think why we look at Yoru with this kind of you love it or you hate it. It's this kind of pre-notion cognitions about what you feel about the agent at large, and I don't know, maybe Corey can turn some heads here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing you have to think about here is this is like one of the small details that often doesn't really get talked about because I guess it's like lesser important on the totem pole of things that you have to get through with Yoru, is that his flashes are actually pretty darn effective, right? Like, they're easier and more effective to use, in my opinion, than Phoenix's. They don't get you as much information as a Guiding Light, and now that we have KO on board, yes, his is like the most traditional flashbang type ability that we have in the game as far as setting up pretty easy pop flashes and all that good stuff. But Yoru still has some pretty darn effective flashes, so we can still kind of give you that slight initiator vibe, despite being in a duelist role. And again, this map is so large, I think that he can get a lot out of that gate crash.
Yeah,
So-
agreed. Especially with some of the angles that you can actually find cover on when you get onto a site.
Yep.
So those are definitely things to keep in mind. Flash comes through early. Asuna wants to control mid-map, and boy will he. There's 2 early in the pistol as Raucus will fall alongside Baby Bay, and 100 Thieves dominate mid-map.
A little bit of deja vu there, isn't it?
It really is.
Asuna making an aggressive play on C defense on Haven for a pick in the second half of the last one. There indeed is that large gate crash, but Tori was spotted out. Asuna with 3, might just ace.
Oh, but might get caught out, or will he? Oh boy.
Here it is.
So Asuna now 2 away from an Empress in round 1. Here comes the play. Nitro able to get the kill, and you have to feel like Asuna will be awarded the defuse. So after
Nitro.
round 1, Asuna is going to be 1 away from having an early Empress. Maybe not. Just kidding.
That was kind of scummy, Nitro. Let your boy get an ace. You know? He'd have been right there for an ult immediately,
Would have
pretty
been.
much.
Yeah. Man.
See it.
Or you love to see it. Again, depending on what side you happen to be rooting for.
Get the man his ace. He worked hard for it. He ran all the way around the map. That's a large map. You gotta have some cardio for this one.
That's true. Man. So this is another one of those things, you know, when we were talking about the matchup between Ryze and Sentinels. Ryze, who did not have the Sova, had trouble taking the middle of the map. That much, well, has not been a concern yet for 100 Thieves, but definitely a question that could linger depending on how FaZe decide they want to play some of these offensive rounds early.
Yep, triple a Marshall purchase here for FaZe. A lot of long angles on this map, so it is one of those eco-type purchases that can sometimes be fruitful just because of how many long sight lines you might get to capitalize on with the Marshall. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves getting, once again, fairly aggressive out in the middle. Big control of elbow position. Asuna looking to push even deeper than that here. All the way past the pillar now.
And has this early Vandal. This is going to be such a huge advantage to play these corners however he so feels fit. Although, Raucus, some damage coming through, but it's Ethan over through elbow. FaZe not expecting it nor watching it at all, really. Finds 2, and that's going to be largely just the round right there.
Yeah, you get a little bit concerned because, you know, you're wondering, oh no, is Asuna going to get caught with this Vandal out on an island in front of pillar? Is that going to give FaZe a little bit of breathing room? But they're able to handle it. Now the tripwire is going to not really allow Baby J to...
Thinking about it.
He's like, can I sneak behind? No, you're not. You're not flanking, bud. Like you're not going to make it. Unfortunate. Big sad. That's a great trapwire to have, by the way, because we definitely see that A-Hall's position kind of get overlooked, and we saw it last series from Ryze.
Oh,
they
boy.
were able to abuse it.
Here comes Asuna. No, denied. Nice shot from Raucus. That's a rifle picked up, but only 15 seconds on the clock, and they're going to have to make their way through the large majority of what the Cypher setup is going to look like. Spycam, Trapwire. Spycam will scout this all out. Guiding light to make sure, and then steal. Long range, clean for the second, to be honest, and 100 Thieves will take the second round.
They will. Bonus comes up clean, and they keep the Vandal in play, which is huge, because now that gives them that little bit more leverage on their bonus round that you wouldn't otherwise have. It gives you a little bit more equal footing firepower-wise. So that is kind of a nice luxury. Ethan actually will go Sheriff only.
Yeah.
Looks like. But plenty of utility, of course.
Look at
Full
FaZe's
rifles
stack
for
here.
FaZe. Yep.
Alarm bot to keep the flank safe. What's the call here? Is it early aggression maybe in the cards? I mean, look at the setup, though. Defensively, Steel has a nice little corner picked out for him. And again, you still have Ethan that can throw his utility over. Yeah, he just has the Sheriff, but the Trailblazer and Guiding Light is huge. Here comes the hit. Steel first one to fall. Very quick take from Baby Bay. That should lead to a plant. Corey is going to be able to lock down another angle as Ethan was tagged up. Power of the Sova coming into play in a 5v3 post-plant setup for FaZe.
Yeah, pretty just quick, bursty type of attack there from FaZe. Kind of something that's very characteristic of their team. Tough to crack open B, though. It's a very tight choke point just getting through that main archway position, especially if you don't have mid-control to also attack from B tunnel side. But they put that Viper wall down. They kind of just catch Steel off guard in the corner. Very clean entry onto him, and that just kind of opens the floodgates. Hold the phone, because 100 Thieves are making this really scary.
Nitro's found a free angle. He's just been waiting for a play to come through the middle or from behind. So now all of a sudden it's a 3v2 the opposite way. Shots from Hiko are really good. BabyBay fighting back. Able to tag him up to critical health, but Nitro finds one more. Time will not allow them to get this defused, but boy, that got a little bit too close for comfort for way too long time.
Yeah, I mean, they're only going to survive with one Vandals. That's a very tough round, especially with the Huntleys coming into their first full buy here and now. If they white FaZe this round, their economy is going to be in tatters because they're having to rebuy so much. And so that, for the long term, for Huntleys could come up really big for them.
Man. Yeah, the utility being spent here was just so good for FaZe. It's a different story, though, if even Steel finds one, though, realistically speaking. I mean, he puts himself in a corner where he's going to be forced to battle 1v multiple. But the Cyber Cage did not provide enough for him to get away. Fake out coming through with the Owl drone. That will actually keep Nitro from peeking. Still finds a chance, and boy, does he ever make good use of it. Corey will fall for first blood, and all of a sudden, out of the mix is Nitro's. He's found a little bit of haven to play with the backside of the site.
But unable to escape completely. Maybe Jay going to take him down. Hiko good for one. Maybe Jay continues to put the pressure on right now. Even spotting another player over towards mid doors over this railing. Asuna trying to get into the mix, is able to pick up a flank. Cave, and he actually gets the spike down. Oh no! Maybe Jay in a tough spot now, 1v2.
This would have to be a full ace for Baby J to secure the round. He knows that Asuna's in the back. No information on where Ethan is positioned. Asuna just kind of tapping away. There's Ethan for one, and Asuna denies the ace in what looked to be a really good setup initially. I mean, yeah, Nitro finds the first blood, but the trades were looking good for FaZe to get onto site. Up until the capitalization came through from behind, and just beyond that, just the kill from underneath the bridgeway deep into the site.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a throwback to see Nitro on an operator. He was, I don't know if I would say like an unwilling primary operator in CSGO, but he wasn't like a classic one. Like, he didn't have it from the beginning of his career to the end of the career. He kind of did it out of necessity a couple of different times for Team Liquid and CSGO, and then just kind of embraced it. Definitely was very good at it, especially defensively in CSGO. He was very smart about angles he picked, timing, stuff like that. But that's really like the flashiest shooter of the op, but he was just really smart in how he managed the weapon. And so seeing him that round, do what he could defensively on the A side, definitely a map that requires some defensive opting, I feel like, because it's so large. Cool to see him have it. A little bit of nostalgia. Even though that was only like a couple of years ago in CSGO.
Offensive pressure from FaZe through Caves has forced the Seekers out here in the eco round. Also, the Blades are in play for BabyBay. Clearing out spawn. No one is sure whatsoever what's coming around the backside. Asuna has also hit into the Empress. And he is largely the first point of contact that would have to be here defensively, playing deep into the site as Hiko.
Yeah. Taking off that position here. Does spot one. BabyBay misses the dash. Unable to get away. And Asuna gets two, and he's just feeding now. Finally silenced by Corey, but he's done so much damage.
Poison orb emitting.
Yep, Hiko knows exactly what's to come here. Poison orb will deny. Snake bite will delay. And all of a sudden, the defense still with good position mid-map. Ethan, a little dicey, but is able to at least tag down. Baby J to critical HP. Steel makes good onto Corey. Also onto Baby J for his double. Zach, the last player left alive, and Ethan will find this kill. No problem, no contest. 100 Thieves up 4-1.
Indeed, they are. And it's really just this mid-aggression from Asuna. He's denying a lot of space. He's getting intel on rotations. And now this round with the ult, he's able to not only create presence, but have a substantial impact on the man count. And that's going to put 100 Thieves now up 4-1. We are going to see the buyback here from FaZe. They're fully equipped. They have lockdown. They have Corey's ult as well. So they definitely have a heavy toolbox to use in this round.
Yeah. Early aggression, though, from Asuna. Lots of damage onto Zach. Also denies any play through this top bridgeway. Asuna still wants more. The Leer comes out. Nitro working with them, but the trades favor FaZe. So now aggression comes through. Dimensional drift from Corey, trying to clear off space. The Recon Bolt also a part of this. And also, I mean, everything's being spent. Attacking lockdown as well. Hiko's just going to back away. He could still fight this back. It's going to be a 1v1 with Corey to start. And actually, Corey's going to back out with the gate crash. That was a lot spent to never actually fully take the A site, but Raucus able to tilt the advantage even further in favor of FaZe as he finds one more, and now it's a 4v2.
I mean, they basically took the site. Yeah, they didn't quite take it, but they pushed the defense back so heavily and whittled their numbers down so much that it was almost as valuable as taking the site and getting this tank. And they are going to have, you know, Baby Bay now also pushed up top middle, potentially backstabbing defending spawns. I mean, this one's wrapped up for them. They just handled that A-Hall situation so well early on. I mean, Baby J trading 2 for 1, that was so big. And then obviously just getting that space with the lockdown and with the dimensional drift. And now they're going to cash in.
Deal on the other side of the map. I would have to imagine probably will consider just playing for either an exit at best or what would be most likely just a full-on save. So FaZe able to strike. I mean, it does cost them a lot when it comes to ultimates. I mean, lockdown, dimensional drift. You have been at least able to get the Hunter's Fury and potentially Viper's Pet for next round, but I don't know, worth it in your mind?
Not sure. I'll come back to you on that. I will give you a little bit of an update on what's going on around the scene. We do have Sentinels taking on Envy. That'll be up next. Winner of that gets a spot in Berlin, so Sentinels versus Envy going to be a very important matchup. But then, of course, the winner of this game will play the winner of XSET Luminosity for another slot for Berlin. We are deciding spots today. We aren't eliminating people today. We're deciding spots today, which is nice. It gives the, you know, it means that like a team gets to hang around a little bit longer, right? If you lose, you get a chance to kind of recover rather than just getting knocked out immediately. I think that's quite nice.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah. Much better that time from FaZe through and through, and I think, like you mentioned, it really just comes down to the fact that they trade 2 for 1 in their favor up top instead of the opposite way around. I mean, Asuna had a really good look at the gunfight, but him not winning it very well could have meant win condition.
Is this a teaser?
I sure hope so.
Sloth Sniper? Would be interesting.
I'm here for it. Take my money. Trailblazer, Poison Cloud, and also the Snakebite coming in. And how about this? Raucus is actually going to come into the Hunter's Fury. He does tag down Ethan, I believe, once, but cannot finish the kill. He was also tagged by the Aldrone, so space has been gained in front of B, but even still, FaZe not feeling confident about it, are just going to re-wrap over to join Baby J in mid.
They've caused a big rotation, but the counter to that is that Steel has a deep position here in Cave. And so it's going to get interesting to see how it plays out. Austin looking to take the battle out in the middle. Austin able to win his fight over on Corey. So main advantage gained for 100 Thieves. And again, Steel still has his spot. It goes unchecked. Neural Theft comes in, and this is looking great.
And confidence through Nitro still with the scope. Able to find one, but the Neural Theft may have done him awry right there as he was expecting the aggressive challenge, but holding the ground. Steel in the back. Able to find one. Baby Bay. Nowhere to go but down. And man, it just looked like one of those things. You use the Hunter's Fury, you push back a couple of B defenders. I think, like you mentioned, you would expect from 100 Thieves for you would be the hits coming, but Steel's fine with that. And he says, all right, you go ahead, hit B. I'm just going to push through into A, and that keeps the defensive play largely alive through mid-map if they want it.
I think a lot of it came down to Hiko's counter utility as well at that deep choke point. And it's a very scary choke point to push whenever you have, you know, Viper smokes in your face. If you snake bite down, you're going to take damage if you try to push through it. You don't have B tunnels access. It's a funneled hit. You're not able to split the site and really put that multi-prong pressure on 100 Thieves. You're able to just kind of, you know, settle in the corner. So I think Hiko's a big part of that. Just the stalling tactics he had to force FaZe to feel like they needed to divert back. And then, yeah, still in the perfect position to collect. Neural Theft was huge there. Now they have a double stack on the double stack. And that could be interesting.
Aldrone will see Nitro, but like you mentioned, Steel will be concealed throughout this. Does actually get flushed out by a snake bite off screen and kind of the other side of the map.
Oh my god.
Saw the tail end of the gunfight between Ethan and Corey.